Very good afternoon, Dr. Nivedita.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, because there was some confusion with another speaker this morning with the wrong link. So I just wanted to make sure you had the right link with you. So
okay.
Yes.
It's everything fine. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for coming, sir.
Indeed, my pleasure.
So can we start?
Yeah, definitely we can start.
Okay, great.
So let me switch on share my screen.
I'll just start with a brief introduction for you, and you can take over.
If it is not required, that's fine too.
So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the second part of the symposium on fostering undergraduate research in institutions. Our first session for this afternoon is on government-led initiatives to strengthen undergraduate research. Unfortunately, Dr. Garima Gupta from DBT could not make it to the session today, and Professor Sanjeev Puri, Punjab University, has kindly agreed to take over. Many thanks for him to accepting our invitation on such a short notice. Professor Puri was the co-chair of the task force of the DBT Star Scheme. He received his MSc Honours in Biochemistry from Punjab University and PhD from PGI Chandigarh. Dr. Puri completed his postdoctoral training at Kansas Medical Center, USA, and has been a visiting scientist at the Kidney Institute at Kansas City. The thrust area of his research falls in medical biotechnology. He is actively involved in understanding the pathophysiology associated with polycystic kidney disease, along with understanding the molecular markers involved in stem cell niche. Dr. Puri has about 16 years of experience and is actively engaged in teaching and training the undergraduate and postgraduate students, along with outreach activities for popularizing science. He is the founding coordinator of stem cell biology at Punjab University and member of the stem cell core committee at PGI Chandigarh. He is also member of the DBT Cancer Task Force. Dr. Puri has more than 50 peer-reviewed research publications in national and international journals, 5 book chapters to his credit, and has won 3 research awards on the development of metanephric model system. Welcome, Professor Puri, and thanks for being with us here today. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nivedita, for kind introduction. And it is indeed my pleasure to be participating in this program. I know Dr. Garima was to deliver, so I'll try my level best to do justification so that the concerns and the queries, whatsoever the participants have, we can share, and so that we can take on a positive note and come up with the best way in deriving what DBT Star Scheme has been intended to achieve over the years. And to start with, I think it is important that we all in research field, in institutions feel that we need the students who have a strong background and a passion to do research so that we can achieve that intended aim of what this country is looking forward to. And for that, I think it is important that a system is designed, system is devised in such a manner that it is conducive for the science temperament, it is conducive for science education to flourish. So in that regard, I think the premise goes back, the reason why DBT Star Scheme got initiated. I think everyone would like to understand why this premise came up from the DBT. I think it goes back when specifically the UNESCO, which we know is a United Nations education, scientific and cultural organization that is involved in regulating the safety, the health through cooperation of education, science, and cultural aspect of that. And it was a very important observation by the policy makers that there's a steady decline in the enrollment of young people in the science globally. And that was a big statement coming from the association like UNESCO. And in 1999, Budapest Declaration underlined the importance of scientific education or science education for all. And I think all of you can have already witnessed this system in the current pandemic, where we all felt it is so important to be scientifically strong scientific mind are to be there, so that the requirement, the need as far as the pandemic is going on could be better understood, so that we can control in a better way. So there are multiple other examples also which definitely incline the efforts, incline the focus of the policymakers toward science education. And India, a part of the global world, is not far away. And we all know the institution framework of higher education in India. It consists of universities and colleges. So I was going through the whole system, how the system came up with setting up different universities, colleges. And it was a very surprising to see that sometime in 2015 there were 700 universities and 32,000 colleges, and within 5 years, span of 5 years, things have increased at an alarming rate. I don't say we don't want to increase. We certainly want to increase, but definitely, because we want to go at pace, hand in gloves with the global world. Look at the China, look at all the other developed countries. They are far ahead as far as the higher education system is concerned, whether it is the university setup or the colleges. India still fall behind China, even Singapore, or even the Western world. So we need to keep up the pace, but definitely at a certain cost. If we continue to mushroom our universities and colleges without giving emphasis on the quality of education, I think we will not be able to achieve what we are intended, what we are focusing, what UNESCO thought about, or what our policy makers are trying to think and trying to implement that system, so that we have a scientific temperament among the citizen of this country. And the way the things have mushroomed up, there's a disappropriation of number of institutions to the quality of the education. So we need quality education, one part. Second part, to have that quality education, I think there's a very close relation with the aspect of infrastructure development, the type of funding, the amount of funding which is available. Until unless we are not able to make up these deficiencies, we keep on mushrooming up, increasing the universities and colleges. That would not serve our purpose, because the outcome would be low movement in higher education. There's a poor research employability. Very recently, I was interacting with different industry, and every industry feels that our graduates are not employable. So I think if our industry person is not satisfied to take up challenge for the next era, I think we are compromising at every aspect. So in order to achieve that, it is important that we focus on the quality, we focus on providing that sufficient funding to achieve that aspect. So the major reason for initiating the concept of DBT Star College Scheme was basically based on the aspect that our undergraduate must have the quality education. They have a strong infrastructure. There should be strong institutional base exist. Of course, there's a need for the inclusion of minorities, and we know this is our country is a huge country which spans the rural areas. Until unless we don't become inclusive, I think that knowledge which is already available, we will not be able to harvest that. And it is important that we start thinking, start planning in that aspect, so that quality education is passed on to our young generation. So keeping that fact in mind, in 2008, DBT launched a very excellent scheme called DBT Star College Scheme to meet the challenges in the basic science education. And why it was required, why there was a need, because we wanted, through this DBT Star College Scheme, we could initiate what was lacking in our education system, specifically at the college level. there's a lack of critical thinking. Of course, we know that there is a continuous, teaching goes on. There are practical being passed on to the students, but somehow students are not able to exploit that knowledge as far as setting up some critical aspect which can solve the day-to-day problem. So I think somewhere our education system, specifically the undergraduate system, was lacking in initiating in the students to take initiative for critical thinking. And why it was lacking? Because there was a huge disparity as far as the infrastructure existed. There was a huge disparity as far as the quality teacher existed. So I'm emphasizing this point very importantly. There's a critical shortage of quality faculty member. And that's a very, very important aspect, because at college level, students need to know how theoretical aspect goes toward the practical aspect. For that, students need to have hands-on training. Many times I have seen at different colleges, whenever we go for some inspection, that there is only single equipment exists, and a group of 5, 10, 20 students are, they're standing around that equipment. I don't think they would get anything out of it until unless each of the student is able to take up that experiment individually. If not individually, at least in a group of 2, 3, maximum 4. If they are not able to do that, I think very essence of theoretical aspect would not percolate down to the better understanding and toward the translational level. And for that, it is important that this DBT Builder program took that initiative in giving that program where students can think, can have a critical thinking, they could do the hands-on experiment, and also the faculty members are able to rejuvenate themselves by attending different faculty development programs, by attending different skilled programs, so that that information, what they gather by going through the faculty development and skill training program, those could be now imparted to the students. Of course, department gets additional advantage because you have potential excellent colleges existed, which become the spokesperson in delivering or disseminating the information to far-flung areas which otherwise become sort of difficult. So this is sort of a chain reaction that we involve few colleges, give them training, take them to a level where now they can pass on that information to the close by areas, so that they also get equipped with the required quality as well as the infrastructure whatsoever is required for achieving the aim. And on a larger perspective that I already mentioned, it was a concern of the UNESCO, it is concern of Indian system also, that the vision is to encourage more and more students to take up science. So that was the need for launching such an excellent scheme by DBT called DBT Star Scheme. And we know India is a vast area, where I think majority population lives in rural areas. Understanding that need, DBT in 2019 to 20 also initiated encouraging both the rural colleges. Urban already it was doing. They also now included the rural colleges so that they could also reap the benefit and come at par with the urban system, so that there's no disparity exists as far as the undergraduate science training is concerned in this country. So as of today, you'll be happy to know that around 25,000 students have already got the advantage of this DBT, very, very prestigious DBT Star Scheme. And to carry on with that aspect, there are very specified objectives which are being laid down by DBT, so that the colleges who are interested, not interested, rather I would emphasize, they must go for it in getting their colleges a star status or continue to get this strengthening aspect under DBT Star College Scheme. So there are few of the objectives which I have laid down, which I can take one by one. The first one is to strengthen the academic and physical infrastructure for achieving excellence in teaching and training. I already mentioned, so until unless we do not have a precise infrastructure, of course we have, I observed that the buildings, they crop up, the buildings mushroom up, but whether those buildings, do they really house all the equipments, all the necessary the teaching training modules? If they are not available, I think we not be able to achieve those targets. So under this objective, first and foremost is that this DBT Star College Scheme would encourage in strengthening the academic and physical infrastructure by providing the ICT component, the computer-based training to the students, providing different equipment to the students, increasing the number of the equipment to the student so that each and every student in the class is able to get that targeted education for their improvement. And to this is related the faculty improvement program. I already said, which is a grim situation, because the faculty quality is decreasing day by day. And I think it has been, you must have discussed quite along, and you might have seen around you also. And this is need of the hour. Building a Hubongi, we'll have a lot of buildings, but unless we do not have the quality faculty member, quality teachers, will not be able to achieve that. So through this program, beside consolidating the infrastructure, there's a provision. The objective is that we are able to increase the skill ability of our faculty member by allowing them to avail fellowships for their development, for the skill development, and to undergo training so that they can equip themselves better with the current scenario. Also, as we move on, because you want a very standardized system of education to be given to the undergraduate students, I have seen there's a huge disparity from one college to the other college, and that is a reason for the low employability also. I think if there are ways to come up with the type of SOPs, the very standardized lab manuals are created, this would be very important in the growth of the student at the undergraduate level. For that, DBT scheme, this DBT Star College Scheme, gives that opportunity for the faculty members, after they have got their training, after they are well equipped, to come up with the standard operating system procedures, and also standard lab manuals, which of course DBT is going to vet those before they are being executed and available to the journal masses also. And of course, that requires furnishing different libraries where the journals are there, so that we can inculcate the research acumen of the students, and also for encouraging faculty members to take up those challenges, so that they are at par with the international system, so that science education, which actually is missing those components, could be filled in precisely by equipping our libraries. Of course, I already talked about that we need to increase that individual instrumentation, so that students can have hands-on experience for different type of practicals, for different type of training. Of course, it is important that in science, the networking is very, very important. Many times we think what we are doing is top on the line. But until unless it is being validated outside, until unless we know where do we stand and how to grow, I think it is important that Star College Scheme has come up with this objective, that they encourage that networking with the neighboring institutes, the Institute of Class, the Institute of Eminence, so that the scientific temperament gets percolated down to the undergraduate level. And this is a very important aspect of DBT Star College Scheme, which becomes an important essence, important ingredient for achieving the aim of the objective of this prestigious scheme. And finally, to make an access to the students so that students are ready to take up challenges and they become more employable and also can start with their own initiative once they become, they are well trained into the scientific system, so that there are multiple vistas, multiple horizons get open up for the students. Though it is not the total premise of the DBT Star Scheme to open up the employment, but it is definitely to provide them a platform where the research acumen, where the scientific temperament gets inculcated, and that becomes an important aspect of DBT the objective for DBT Star Scheme in under this prestigious aspect. So in that regard, it is both student-centric and as well as faculty-centric, and also the technical staff, which is part of the basic system in the scientific enhancement of the college, because these are important stakeholders whose involvement is mandatory, so that ultimately it is the student who is going to get benefited out of this Star College Scheme. So in order to make it student-centric, I think it is important that new practicals must be thought about, must be planned by any college which intend to apply for this scheme. And remember, so it is our observation, and many times we see what different colleges do. They simply add some of the practicals which doesn't go along with the theoretical aspect, and for which there's no critical thinking. We know that many of the colleges, they work under the direction of the university to which they are affiliated. It is not possible for them to immediately modify the syllabus. But there are ways, there are time slots available. If you can think ingeniously, that these are the practical which can over and above could be done, I think that becomes an important ingredient for you to apply for this Star College Scheme, because that would help students to come up in a very critical way, learning the basic essence of the scientific aspect. Of course, the use of ICT classroom, labs, and library, these need to be equipped, which has to be student-centric. There should be computer facility available for the students. That has to be developed, which under DBT Star College Scheme, that is one of the provision available both in the classrooms, because we want those smart classroom to be there. So students, it becomes more interactive in nature. It has to be in the lab wherever it is required, and also in the libraries, so that students are free to execute themselves in learning those initiatives which are being taught in the class. Of course, inclusion by carrying out the hands-on training, theory to practical, has to be a very important aspect. Many times it is observed, and it has been the observation of many of my colleagues, that there's a huge disparity as far as what is being taught versus what is being imparted practically. So unless we do not think on those lines, I think that our purpose would be sorted out. So through DBT Star College Scheme, you should think in that direction, so that it becomes student-centric in order to achieve that aim. And of course, you can think of initiating some of the projects for the student, but those projects have to have at least not more than 4 students. Otherwise, it is seen that more the number of students, it has become more and more copying in nature, and that doesn't give the very clear sense about the project system. So for that, I think it is important that beside hands-on training, beside including the theoretical aspect to the practical aspect, the carrying out minor project under undergraduate program becomes an important part of Star College Scheme. Of course, giving student freedom for going for the summer training program, and that would allow to to develop their skills, their activities, to interact outside and get to know what is going on. I would allow them to try come back and give back to their alma mater. So that is another important aspect of Star College Scheme. And finally, as having a regular interaction with the eminent scholar would allow students to learn from the best of the knowledge available with those eminent scientists. I think the current system, which is a webinar system, webinar-based online portal, I think it becomes important that under Star College Scheme, the colleges can think of coming up a way and writing to DBT for involving the eminent scientists, which becomes important for the development, for the overall progress of the student. And with respect to the faculty centric, this DBT Star College Scheme would provide training, would provide funding for the faculty development program at a different level of training to the faculty from the basic level to the advanced level. So there's a provision available for the faculty development program. Of course, faculties, definitely a system has to be devised where you do not want the whole faculty goes off. A system has to be designed so that the faculty members can go out during the summer whenever there's a vacation for their skill development. They can learn new technologies, they can learn new aspects which they can now come back to the colleges and include that as part of the curriculum, so that the students, they go at par with the current changing scenario in the scientific system also. Of course, organizing eminent lecture, involving themselves with those eminent scientists will allow the faculty to sharpen their skills also. For that also, there is a provision exists under the Star College Scheme, the funding for the Star College Scheme. Of course, having an interacted with the eminent scientists, I think it inculcates among the faculty member the eagerness to take up the scientific aspect in a more research-oriented way. So by having those eminent scientists, I think the faculty would get that the opportunity to initiate their research acumen and get themselves trained, and also training back to the student about the research process, so that very aspect of the scheme could be realized to the students, so that ultimately the benefit toward the scientific temperament goes up. And of course, finally, for any aspect to be successful, it is an important matter that there's an internal review has to be carried out. And that internal review would allow you to achieve where do you stand as far as the outcome of the Star College Scheme is concerned. So, this is the way for the self-improvement also. If I say I've been doing everything, I don't think I can find what mistakes I have. It is the third person which would always allow you to look at where the lacunas are on the premise which you started with. So I think through this Star College Scheme, you get all those important ingredients that would allow the scientific temperament to go up, that would involve more inclusive approach to take up the science challenge which our country is facing. So whether it is student-centric, the faculty-centric, the outcome has to be evaluated. If that is not there, the very aspect of that scheme goes away. So in DBT Star College Scheme, there are some expected outcome out of the student-centric activity which are permitted, or the faculty-centric activity which are permitted. And these include, I can give you a few of those examples, that there should be increased UG admission, so that more and more students can take up that challenge of science. And that would happen only and only if we have a quality teacher. We can pass on the knowledge where there's a critical thinking. The science should not be made boring. we should come out with the different ways that enthuses a student to take up that challenge, so that it becomes an important part of the development system. And that is very, very important. And that would happen only and only when the students, it's the knowledge, it's infectious. It goes from one person to the other person. So same way, when the students see that while taking up the science stream, they are getting the outcome, what they are desired, what they have aspired for, I think that would encourage other students to take up science as a career. So through this Star College scheme, if you take that side student-centric approach, if you start taking the faculty-centric approach, I assure you there's an increased UG outcome. Admission would take take place. That would be one of the expected outcome what DBT Builder, the policy makers have intended to achieve. Of course, the cutoff would also vary. There would be low dropout, because nowadays we know in science field, majority of the students in maths, physics, other biological sciences, there's a huge disparity as far as number of admission took place to the students which are passing out. So and because that is possible, because till date nobody has thought about making science as an interesting field. So if we could do that, I think will attract the students, and the dropout is going to be low, and they will get the better, greener pastures toward pursuing their career in research or pursuing their PG science education in achieving the success of that aspect. Of course, other expected outcome is we really want to see how much hands-on training students are going to achieve once this Star College scheme is awarded to the concerned college. For that, the type of experimental work done by the students, the type of minor project done by the students, whether any outcome is there out of those minor project which students have done, even small paper, they know how to write that paper. Could they achieve that? I think that would be another important outcome once we the student-centric and faculty-centric the scheme has been developed. Of course, we know that beside faculty training, we want to see how many faculty have carried out different faculty development program, whether they are ready to. In many colleges, it is seen even many of the faculty members are not PhD. So I think it is important to see that when the faculty development program gets initiated, they also start thinking toward equipping themselves with the latest, so that they come up with the understanding. Because until unless they go deep into the topic, I don't think they can provide in part that critical thinking what is lacking in our education system. So for faculty development program, initiating those activities where faculty get equipped with the newer technologies, but also they're able to involve those new technology for enhancing their caliber also, or their structure also, by carrying out different PhDs. And that would also allow the training to the staff, who should be well equipped in handling different equipment, so that there's a congenial training module exists for passing the information to the student. And finally, the important outcome that we certainly want to look forward is whether a college has come up, because if all these are regularly being in a regulated fashion are being carried out, each time a question is being raised in developing those initiatives, I think the outcome would be that there are good type of SOPs come up for that scientific program, and even to a level where many of the colleges may come up with certain lab manuals which are important for carrying out the research activity. So these are some of the expected outcome that one will look forward for this Star College scheme. Then there are certain criteria to be met for any college to be considered for this for granting the this proposal. And for that, the college has to be either government aided or autonomous. And that is very important under section 2F by 12B of UGC Act 1956. That is very, very important, because there are important regulatory aspects which goes down the development of the college and reaching at par in imparting that scientific knowledge. So any college which has not gone for these, they must go for it, so that they become, only then they will become eligible for this scheme, which is Star College scheme. That college must have adequate faculty in sciences. That is very important, because it is our observation that in many colleges they have faculty strength not more than one, and that is automatically disqualify that college to be candidature for this scheme. So it is because if the number of faculty is less, how you can pass on and impart training to the students. So it is very important that there's an adequate faculty strength exists in that college for the science departments. A minimum of 4 to 5 UG courses in basic sciences and 1 to 2 the diploma courses should be there in that college that consolidate their case for applying for the grant. There should be independent practical lab for housing sanctioned student strength. It is seen that in many colleges there is an overlapping. So in one lab, more than, I think, other departments are also simultaneously having the same lab being used. We understand the concerns, but for a particular cause, for particular experimentation, for particular subject, it should be sufficient. Independent laboratory must exist for the students. Only then you will be considered eligible for this program. They should have lecture rooms and hall as per the sanctioned strength of the students in the college. They should have ICT, LCD, and library both in the college, in the classrooms, as well as in the library. Of course, these are two important points which I'll talk about as I take up the procedure for the Star College scheme to get implemented. You can, anybody who's interested to apply for this Star College scheme, I think can write directly to Garima. And normally the advertisement comes in the month of May to July. I think you should continue to look for that advertisement to come. And some of the parameters of the success which I've mentioned for those who are interested to apply for the Star College scheme include substantial increase in the hand-on practical. So whatsoever curriculum you have, so you'll provide the information whatsoever is existent in the college, and this is the new addition they have made, and goes in parallel is the type of equipment which is being required. And this is very important aspect. What we have observed over the years, that some of the colleges, they do come up with the newer practicals, but when we try to compare with the type of equipment which is asked, there's a huge disparity. So that automatically become liable for the rejection. So I think you must think on those lines. We don't want you start including 100 of practicals. No, there's no need. Include 4 or 5 very important practicals. Very, very important practicals. I can say even 3 different very important practicals, which student has not done. He has studied the theoretical aspect. And now if that practical is given to that student, he or she is able to understand the conceptual knowledge about the topic, and also able to perform independently. And for that particular plan, there should be a linked equipment being ordered, requested by the department if it is not available. So this is one of the very critical parameter that we always look forward while considering that college for the grant. And it also has to see that increase access of the student to laboratories and bioinformatic infrastructure. See, that is very, very important. Manav Atlas is one of the, I think, very common, interesting scheme has come up, which now involves more and more science students to be involved into it. So if you really want students to get enthused toward that aspect, these are very small important components, but they have a detrimental effect on student thought process. So that would happen if we allow the student and access to laboratories. We allow the student to that infrastructure, which would now require mandatory for the time to come. So that we really want to look forward to. Those who are intended to write for this thing must emphasize on that particular very important aspect so that the chance of success increases. Also, improvement in access to scientific journal. Are students able to carry on some no, see, it's an important aspect I must share with you. See, as far as the scientific system go, of course, undergraduate, they need to have a very specified knowledge, and they have those specified book, they can go for it. For the critical understanding, I think give them a chance where they could read the aspect from the time it came up. So from the original thought, why that aspect has come up, I think that would allow the student to think in a critical fashion. So for that, I think the scientific journal must be made available to the students. How college take that initiative would allow their success in winning that grant. Of course, they should think of coming up with the summer school program and percentage of students pursuing PG education. So over the years, how the college has done some important activity, though they have not been awarded any Star College scheme. But while you are applying, think how you can present your case to DBT. If you could show that your undergraduate student now have gone to PG program in the science, I think that automatically allows you to convince the evaluator the essence you are carrying out and the thought process you are coming up in bringing out the Star College scheme. And finally, measure effectiveness on the basis of feedback. Do you have a system of a feedback in your college? If not, get it initiated. It is very, very important. If you show for 3 or 4 years how your faculty members, how the employer of the students, how the other stakeholders find your students, different from the other branches or from the other colleges or from the other streams, would definitely make your case strong. So these are some of very important parameters of success for taking up that grant of DBT Builder, DBT Star Scheme for that particular college. So under this category, under this scheme, there are 2 different components to understand the mechanism, how it gets imparted to the 2 different colleges. So there are 2 major components. One is the strengthening component, which support the UG education, and the second is the star component that allow the Star College to become got the star status. Nivedita, I will take a few more minutes. I know my time is going to be over. So this is a very important slide, which I really want the student, the faculty member to look at. So the DBT would give initial support for 3 years. And this initial support of 3 years, keeping in mind all those activities which I mentioned, that would be considered as one cycle of strengthening component. So initially it would always be a strengthening component, which I talk about. After you achieve that strengthening component, then you would be given the star status. So with respect to that strengthening component, this would be initially for a period of 3 years. After 3 years, though there's a regular annual evaluation, but after 3 years, the committee would evaluate you. And depending upon the outcome, which I've already mentioned, it will decide whether you are ready to have the star status, which will get some additional grant to you, or if not, then you would continue as the strengthening component for additionally 2 years. And if that happens, then again, after 2 years, you would be evaluated. If that college does not fall to that standard, its grant would be terminated. So that means after a period of total of 5 years, if you're not able to come to that level, you're not able to achieve the star status, only the strengthening aspect, your grant would be terminated. And if that happens, you would not be able to apply again for a period of 2 years. So there will be 2 year schooling period, after which only you can reapply and initiate this process of strengthening and then becoming star status. But if after 3 years you do excellent, your outcome is as what the DBT task force is, this star scheme expects you to do, you'll get a star status. And this star status would allow you to get more funding. And then again, after 3 years, you would be evaluated in order to get additional grant of high amount for another 3 years. So which means a total of 9 years stars college scheme grant or star status you will achieve. And that would help you to achieve multiple things and bringing the college to a level where many grants, DBT or government schemes, which look forward to the excellence in the college, would allow you to win over those grants also. So this is a very important slide, which I really want all faculty members to look into that aspect and see that all of you are able to, of course, after the strengthening, within 3 years, you are able to achieve star status and continue for another 3 years. So that means total a period of 6 years, you're going to be a star status that would allow you to achieve many more grants in the time to come. So this is the strengthening aspect, which is around 10 lakh grant for the non-recurring, but no equipment should be more than 3 lakhs. Then recurring is 3 lakh each department get per year. So depending upon how many number of department you are including, you can have that recurring grant. Contingency of 1 lakh, then travel and mentoring, if it is more than 4 department, 1 lakh, 5 rather less than hona chahiye tha. So 5 to 8 department, 2 lakh, 9 to 12 department, about 3 lakhs. But if you achieve star status, which you can get for continuously 6 years, you may end up getting, which is a large amount in next 3 years, 15 lakh of non-recurring grant and 5 lakh of recurring grant. Rest remains the same. So these are very important aspects in the for supporting the department, for the developing the good infrastructure, as well as providing the quality education to the students and equipping the faculty as well as student for more employability and more research activity. So as of today, there are around 36 different star colleges exist, which are now hand-holding other colleges in the neighboring area to make this program successful. And you can see as more and more colleges are knowing about this scheme, it is becoming more and more competitive. Start from 14 to 1890, out of 192, only 55 got this proposal, they got supported. So look at the awareness among the colleges. So that this not only includes the urban but also the rural colleges. I'm happy to share that many of the rural colleges are coming to a level where it is astonishing the way they are bringing out their science students in the rural colleges also. So beside winning this DBT Star Scheme, that would allow you to participate in other important components like a full scope workshop, Nobel Prize series, and global biotech summits, National Science Teacher Association, and Manav Atlas project. So if you have that DBT builder, the DBT Star Scheme, a star status, I think those at Manav Atlas project would definitely be enthused to look into taking the services of those students that would allow the overall growth of that college. So in the last but the not least, this is my humble submission to all the colleges that take up this challenge and see that we can initiate that aspect of bringing the students, a science student, at par with the international level. With these words, thank you very much. I'm sorry that I've taken time additional whatever was assigned to me. So please bear with me, Dr. Nivedita.
No problem, sir. Absolutely no problem. That was such an enthusiastic presentation on the complete, like overall different aspects of the scheme, what potential applicants need to know, and what the scheme is actually looking for in a prospective applicant. So we can take questions at the end of the session. So now I invite upon Dr. Pauline Vasanthi Joseph, Associate Professor at Nirmala College for Women in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, to share her experiences in availing the DBT Star College Scheme. Dr. Joseph has been the coordinator of DBT Star College Scheme, UGC Career-Oriented Program in Vermi Technology, UGC Innovative Program in Vermi Technology, IQAC for accreditation of NAC, and the UGC Paramarsh Program, mentoring 6 colleges towards the assessment process. She is member of the Board of Studies and interview panel for colleges and universities in and around Coimbatore and Tamil Nadu. Ma'am, can you take over, please?
Yes.
Thanks for being with us today.
Yes, thank you. Can I share my screen?
Professor Puri, can you stop screen sharing so that Dr. Pauline can share her screen? Professor Puri?
Yes, Dr. Nivedita.
Yes, yeah. Can you please stop sharing your screen so that Dr. Pauline can share her screen? Yes. Great.
All right. Okay. Is my screen visible, Dr. Nivedita?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone, and to Dr. Sanjay Puri, who has given a very wonderful lecture and an overview on the DBT Star College Scheme, and especially to the Indian National Youth Academy of Sciences. I'll just widen it a little bit. Yeah, okay. So I'm Dr. Pauline Vasanthi Joseph, the Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Zoology, and I represent Nirmala College for Women, Red Fields, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. And I would like to, for 10 minutes, I would like to share my experiences with the DBT Star College Scheme in our college and the benefits our students derived from this scheme. So the Star College Scheme at Nirmala College for Women started in the year 2012. And the department supported first were botany, chemistry, and zoology. And in the year 2015, where we were given the continued status. And in 2017, the 3 departments were awarded the star status. And without any hesitation, in the year 2017, we included additional departments like mathematics, computer science, and geography. And in 2020, the other 3 departments were given the continued status. And in this year, 2021, we have submitted the proposal for the inclusion of physics department also. Now, these were some of
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Can you make it full screen? Maybe many of them are watching on the mobile phone.
Yes,
and it's not very clear. Okay, thank you.
Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay, all right, okay. So these are some of the salient points that we had to keep in mind while preparing a proposal under the Star College Scheme. So we had to keep details on the existing equipments, the cost and the functional status of the equipments that were already with us. And the infrastructure available like classrooms and laboratories and seminar rooms, and also statistics about our library, the reference books, textbooks, all this had to be given. Faculty details like specialization, conferences attended, and publications. And student details, we had to list out the social category of students and the number of students who were admitted each year and those who passed out. I think for a period of 3 years to 5 years. What would be the relevance of the Star College scheme in the college? Because the guidelines were out, and based on the guidelines, we had to project what would be the relevance of the scheme in the college, and also what would be the expected outcome. We also had to list out the measures to enhance the bench skills, the projects, the summer training, and industrial visits that we would arrange for our students, and measures to upgrade the skill of the faculty. So we had to list out what programs we would arrange for the faculty, skill development programs or workshops or training programs, and the visiting faculty to be invited, guest lecturers whom we would be inviting at least for a year. We had to give the list of the probable faculty and resource persons we would be inviting. And we had to give them a timeline for all the activities mentioned. And in the end, we had to give them the budget details for the non-recurring amount, what Dr. Sanjay Puri had already mentioned, the grant for the purchase of equipment. And these equipments we had to justify for what purpose we were purchasing these equipments and what practicals we would do with the purchase of these equipments. And also the recurring grant, how much we would purchase on our consumables, which would mean chemicals or any other aspects for like computer labs, the batteries and whatever they required, as well as the library books, purchase of textbooks, reference books, journals that we would subscribe, and also what would be, how much we would spend on each activities. For example, for how much we would spend on the industrial visits, field visits, or the faculty development programs or training programs for students' workshop, we had to give them a rough estimate of all this. So these are the inputs that we had received under the Star College scheme, and these were the benefits that we actually derived. So the first thing was the curriculum. And since Nirmala College is an autonomous college, we have the freedom to at least change 40% of our curriculum. So we have introduced new theory papers. We did it with a lot of confidence because we knew we could support our practicals with the help of the DBT fund. So for all these new papers introduced, the relevant practicals were also implicated over here, and add-on practicals for the existing papers, and already practicals that we had, and we had only demonstration practicals for students. So all that was converted into individual practicals because of the purchase of equipments that we had made under the Star College scheme. So it strengthened our curriculum. And secondly, a greater input was given in the form of activities. So a number of invited lectures, we were able to call resource persons from different parts of India, all right, because it was being supported financially by DBT. So students had a greater exposure of meeting a lot of expertise from different areas of India. And then we organized seminars, symposia, and conferences, workshops and training programs for students. Summer training programs or winter training programs every year was organized for the students, and specifically training programs for faculty. These were some of the new courses that we have introduced. For example, botany has introduced bioinstrumentation and microbiology, chemistry, basics of cheminformatics and dye-chemistry. Zoology had molecular biology, bioinformatics, mathematics like machine learning and mathematical modeling. Computer sciences introduced a lot of papers like virtual reality, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and geography. Of course, they had a very important paper, oceanography and hydrology, and of course, the geography of India. Now, exposure, a lot of exposure. The students were taken out of the campus, and this was possible without any financial burden or constraints on the part of the students. We could take them for industrial visits, institutional visits, for example, a number of universities, research institutes within the locality or outside of Coimbatore. Students were taken, field trips to places of academic importance. And we, not only that, but we were also reaching out to students in need. For example, we were helping on schools and colleges in our own locality who were in need of laboratory resources, especially schools and government colleges who needed a lot of resources. We helped them out because we ourselves were strengthened with the grant that was given from the DBT Star. And they also participated in workshops and seminars free of cost. There was no registration fees at all, and everything was supported by DBT. Now, one innovation that was there under the Star College scheme, we had done all the others like exposure and everything. Everything was done only on a financial commitment on the part of our students. But with the advent of the Star College scheme in our college, students had the benefit of being exposed to all these without any financial commitment on their part. And one of the best innovation was the introduction of projects. We have group projects or individual projects, and this was compulsory for the final year students. In the first 2 years, they were given sufficient exposure, a lot of visiting faculty, and a lot of seminars and symposia where they met a lot of resource persons, workshops and training programs. So when they came to the final year, we have given them the freedom to decide on their own area of interest. And one of the best outcomes of having projects is it enables the students to work in a team, because in Nirmala College, we have a problem where we have a lot of students from the vernacular medium. So since we had to group the girls along with those who came from English medium schools. So creating a scientific temper and an opportunity to present and publish their work. The outcome of the Star College scheme, our laboratory resources have been increased, our curriculum has been strengthened, there has been a decrease in the dropout rate of our students. We have a more number of our own students moving to our PG program, and the number of students qualifying for competitive exams have increased. And student participation in seminars and paper presentations and publications have increased, and the upgradation of skills among faculty has also increased. So I'm just showing you the student progression to PG. You can just see it from botany to geography. There has been an increase in the number of students going for PG. The rest of them take an employment, or some of the girls just get married. The competitive exams qualified, this is the number that I'm giving you. In the last 5 years, we have a number of our students who have qualified in UGC NET, IIT GATE, SLET, and TET, and Public Service Commission exams, and IELTS, and CTET. The outcome, so for the year 2020 to 21, 965 students out of 3,000 have benefited from the scheme, which is roughly about 32%. And of these 900 and odd students, 62% belong to the economically weaker section, and 53% of our students are first generation learners. So indeed, the DBT Star College scheme is a boon to these girls who would have otherwise have been deprived of these opportunities and would have been relegated to their homes. So DBT has helped them to grow in different ways and has built them up, and has also placed the college in the roadmap of academic excellence. And DBT has not only just given us the Star College scheme, but throughout these 10 years, it has fostered not only our college, but all the DBT Star colleges around. And this is the way they have done it. They have created a link with ISA for training faculty in pedagogical tools, and with the Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, Trivandrum, for virtual tours and webinars, which we are doing now, with DBT CTEP for organizing popular lecture series. And it has nurtured the scheme in the campuses through its publications like Pursuit of Biotechnology, Opportunities and Options, a career resource book for life sciences, laboratory manual in biotechnology, and experiments with Drosophila. And it has also allowed us to participate in a number of events like the International Science Festival at Lucknow and the Nobel Prize Series of India. So it is during these review meetings that we have in Delhi or in any other places, we had an opportunity to learn from others during the review meetings. And we do not have any dearth of saying the warm hospitality that is rendered to principals and coordinators during these review meetings. So I wish that the scheme to be extended to all pockets of India, especially the backward sector, because these students deserve to be given a better life. So I wish that to those who have, as I told you, I've already given you what are the salient features to be kept in mind while preparing the proposal. So if you could get the scheme in your college, your stakeholders are definitely gaining a lot from this scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paulin. That was an absolutely very well structured and thought out presentation on what we exactly wanted you to talk on. Okay. So without further delay, I next invite Dr. Punjab Singh Malik, Assistant Professor of Botany at Meerut College, Meerut, to share his experiences. Dr. Malik is currently the coordinator of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan 2.0 and DBT Star College Scheme at Meerut College, and has also served as a resource person for DST Inspired programs. He is also the recipient of the Teachers Associateship for Research Excellence from DST Serve. Dr. Malik, would you like to take over?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
But we cannot see you if...
Oh, okay. Maybe the video is the issue. It's just, yeah, is this fine now?
Yes, great, sir.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And before I start my presentation, I would like to thank INEAS, the whole team, especially Dr. Nivedita, for giving us this opportunity to present today. And DBT, this is the agency who gave us funding, and whatever I'll speak in next 10 minutes, that could be possible only because of the fundings we got through this DBT Star College scheme. So I thank DBT, Dr. Garima Gupta, Professor Puri, and everybody, you know, who helped us during the review meetings in the first stage when we sent our proposal for grant sanction. So we got feedback at different stages, and because of their continuous support, we could achieve whatever we have. So I'll start with this introductory slide. And this talks about the faculty strength we have. So these 5 departments are covered under a strengthening component of DBT Star College scheme. So faculty members from these 5 departments, they joined their hands and submitted the proposal. In 2018, we got this sanctioned under a strengthening component first. And most of our faculty members are PhD. So I mean, those 5 who they are in different stages, either they have submitted or they are waiting for their defense. And we have a BSc course with botany, zoology, and chemistry. Then we have the same BSc with PCM, and there is one section for statistics, mathematics, physics, or chemistry combination. So you have heard a lot about you know, different objectives of DBT Star College scheme. So I'll share our experience, what we could achieve after we got this scheme implemented in our college. So in the proposal, we submitted practicals which were to be conducted from all different participating departments. And then we had listed out the interdisciplinary activities which were to be carried out. depending upon these experiments and interdisciplinary projects, we ask for different instruments and chemicals, other consumables. And once we got the funding, then we started with the regular lab practicals. So what happened during our first month? So let's say students were conducting plasmid DNA isolation. So at the end of the day, we have like 60 tubes full of PUC19 or some other plasmid sitting in the refrigerator. Then if you do a PCR, then you amplify the segment, and the students, they got lost or whatever. So then we thought of, like in the first session today, we had a speaker, Professor Dr. Apurva Barve, and she talked about RBPT. And so now I realize that we were actually doing RBPT, the research-based pedagogical tools. We were using them. So we started writing proposals because after we got this scheme, we had so like many visitors from Delhi, from other different institutes. Like so from Delhi, we have very good and fruitful collaboration with Dr. Jitendra Thakur lab at DBT NIPGR. ICGB, we are having a linkage with faculty members from JNU and Delhi University. We had linkage. So we started inviting them. They spent their time. We had workshops and things like that. So in those meetings, we got the idea, and then we started writing research proposals. So, and the basic experiments were being carried out by our students, these BSc students. They carried out basic experiment because when you ask for fund, you have to have some basic material ready with your laboratory. So in that process, rather than asking our students to perform this plasmid DNA isolation or that PCR amplification practical, we started connecting the dots. So, so our theme was, you will clone this gene, may overexpress this protein, purify it, and then do biochemical characterization. So in a way, so in every like class, you have at least 10% students who are leaders, who takes initiatives, who are willing to spend an hour extra in the laboratory. So we started with those leaders, and around them, we had like a group of 10 more students. And this way, we could actually motivate 60 to 70% of our students to participate in these projects. So this is how it started. So in this, like I told you that I'll be talking about 5 different interdisciplinary research activities our students are involved in, and they will reflect our progress so far. So on the panel, you see the agar gel showing restriction digestion, then the SDS page Kumasi stain gel, wherein the same gene which was cloned, it is overexpressing the protein. And on the right hand side, you see the characterization of this protein. It is a DNA binding protein, and you see the same shift in AMSA gel. So I have, so when we invited our alumni also, those who are placed in different countries or different cities of India. So whenever they came back visiting their families in Meerut, so we invited them, and they also supported us in different ways. And this collaboration is outcome of one such interaction. So we got this cyanobacterial strain from Dr. Gopal Patnaik, who is working in Rust Lab at University of Chicago. So similarly, we collaborated with our affiliating university professor, Dr. Dharmendra Pratap. He is professor there in Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding. So he had a DBT project wherein he has to survey the Gemini viral disease in cucurbits of this region. And we invited him, and he suggested that our students, because many of like 60 to 70% of our students, they come from villages in this neighborhood. And he suggested if these students can bring, the infected disease sample, and then we can do a simple PCR to validate if they are infected with that particular virus or not. So we really loved this idea, and students, they started doing this experiment. So the big point is, so whatever they were doing in the laboratory, that was actually being used. So then we started thinking in terms of getting a publication. And yeah, publication. So these BSc students, some of them, they are actually writing manuscripts. Some experiments are to be done, so maybe in this year they will have publication in their name in the PubMed. So two of them, they qualified this JNU combined entrance examination for biotechnology, and after finishing their masters from JNU and MS University Baroda, so these two students, they are actually writing and uh, uh, performing some more experiments. Yeah, this is the second interdisciplinary research activity where we involved our students. So mushroom cultivation. So this part, the Western UP is actually considered the sugar bowl of this state, and we have sugarcane fields. The other issue with sugarcane fields is, so in the month of November, we have this crop residue burning events, and that leads to this smoky conditions, and many a times our schools and colleges, they are closed when air quality index goes really bad. So we thought of making use of these sugarcane and other agricultural residues, agricultural waste products, and composting them to use them as a substrate for mushroom cultivation. And this is the lab which we have set up in our department, wherein our students, they are growing button mushroom, the portabella, the cremini, and many other medicinal mushroom. Agaricus, so Calocybe indica, the milky mushroom, the pleurotus species, the king oyster, the expensive one, and Lentinellida idodes and shiitake and this king oyster. So our students, when they started making recipes for compost, like let's say we will use 25% of sugarcane bagasse, 75% of wheat straw, and then paddy straw. So different combinations they tried, and then they documented it. So when they saw the results, finally, it was really, really very inspiring moment for us, all of us. And now in some of the villages, we are in touch with these Anganwadis. If some landless farmers or women entrepreneurs, they can take up this mushroom cultivation activity, and they can serve them in the midday food, because Ministry of Education, they have issued that midday meal program has to be fortified with mushroom for uh, protein supplementation. So if that goes well, probably by next year we will have some more success stories. And our students, they are actually our brand ambassadors. So they are from these villages, and they are disseminating this scientific know-how to these groups of landless farmers or women entrepreneurs. Another thing which we faced is the quality spawn availability in this area, because in Haryana we have very well established mushroom industry, but that's not the case in Western UP, though we are very close geographically. So our students, they started with those fungal cultures on a plate, and then they could turn them into ready to use a spawn bag using different seed grains as substrate for mycelium growth. And now we were in a position to support these farmers and women entrepreneurs from first step till to the last one. So this is another success story. This is about trichoderma isolation and multiplication. We do have a very active linkage with State Agriculture University located in Meerut, that is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University of Agriculture and Technology. So faculty members from College of Biotechnology there, they help us in standardizing these protocols, and these trichoderma powder can be given directly to the farmers. So KVKs are also, we took help from KVKs also. So this is another thing which has reached to some level. Along with this, we have some initiatives in plant tissue culture, and chemistry department is actively engaging our students in soil and water testing. So these activities we could do only because we got funds from DBT in this Star College scheme. So in last 3 years, we have two major research projects sanctioned. One of them is funded by DST Serve, so under the scheme called Teachers Associateship for Research Excellence, wherein you have to find a mentor, and along with the mentor, you carry out your research experiments. So we have this collaboration with Dr. Jitendra Thakur Lab at DBT and PGR. And another project is being funded by Uttar Pradesh Council of Science and Technology, that is a state level counterpart of TST. And this year only, 9 of our faculty members from these participating departments, they wrote proposals for getting minor research projects, and 9 of them they got funding. So. And
sorry to interrupt, Dr. Malik. Can you? It'll be great if you can wrap up quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So 1 or 2 minutes maximum. So then we have research institutes. So this is very, very important slide, because collaboration is one thing that we focused on, and because of these collaborations, we could do different activities in our laboratory. So we have ICR institutes in Meerut, the Central Institute for Research on Cattle, the Central Potato Research Institute, the Agriculture University, which I mentioned, and there is a automated mushroom farm also in this neighborhood. So our students, they were visiting these labs and facilities there. So next comes is students' progress. So the students qualified different national level exams, and some of them, they are after their PG, they are writing GRE, and we are helping them in writing their SOPs. So these are some glimpses of these different activities. And now our university and state both, they have they are planning to implement this new education policy from this year, wherein we will have semester system at UG level also. Earlier it was only at PG level. So because of this Star College schemes, we are very well prepared for this transition. And in this new curriculum, we have separate units for bioinformatics, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So because of the fundings we got from DBT Star College scheme, I think we can manage this transition. So we are really thankful to DBT, and because earlier we were actually forcing our students to take minor research project, but in this new scheme, we will have compulsory research project for every undergraduate student. So this Star College scheme will help us in that. So yeah, I'm done with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Malik. Next, we have Dr. Samrat Adhikari, Head of Biotechnology at St. Edmund's College, Shillong, to share his valuable experiences about the Star College scheme. Dr. Adhikari is coordinator of the Bioinformatics Center and Advanced Level Biotech Hub at his college. He is also member secretary of the DBT Star Status Scheme and nodal officer of the Atal Innovation Center. We welcome you, Dr. Adhikari. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get the rights to share this screen, ma'am?
You should be able to share it.
Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It will be great if you can wrap up in 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure, madam.
Sorry, we are running out of time. Yeah, sure.
No problem, madam.
Thank you.
Very good afternoon to Professor Puri and all the dignitaries here, and also thank you to Garima madam and also to Nivedita madam to give me a chance to speak about our journey, what we had in our Star College scheme. So briefly, I'll not tell you like what we have exactly all the activities what we have done here in the Star College scheme, but mostly I'll be focusing with some of the most key strategy actually what we have started with the Star College scheme. So let me take you through the journey of our college, how we achieved this Star College status. So we got this grant in the year 2009, and till 2015 we enjoyed this Star College grant. And in 2015 we got this Star College Star Status Award, comprising of these 6 departments. Then in 2016, again, we applied for other additional departments, and we got for the 4 departments, and total now, I think 10 science departments are covered under the Star College scheme. But the status grant already we have finished now, and the 4 other department grantees, the scheme is still going on in our college. So we have actually initiated many programs under the DBT Star College schemes. We have been to many reviews meeting and all, where all the experts, they have told us that please go for this, it will be good for the students. And actually, point is that in context to our notice at the context here, actually the most difficult point here is that the parents after class 12, they don't want to send their students or siblings for undergraduate courses. So this was a major challenge for us, because they think there are 2 professions in life. One is a medical, one is engineering. So maximum students, they usually try to go for mostly your medical or engineering. So there were few students who didn't got admission anywhere, days to come. Now the scenario has changed, but the scenario what it was 15 years back or 12 years back, it was different now. So we could invite students to take up the basic science as a career. So a lot of initiatives we have taken during all these years. So there are many other initiatives out there, but some of these I'll just show you in a gist here. But the most success what happened with us is that we got the Star College scheme or the Star Status scheme is because we started this interdepartment participation. So in this chart, actually, you can see here that how we have involved the Star Status department, how the Star Status department have taken up this only the Star departments, and how the non-Star departments are coming together along with all other departments to work. So mostly it's a interdepartmental participation which we have started. And with this, keeping in this, we have initiated many different kind of activities, like we have developed many lab manuals. So all our lab manuals are now digitalized, which are for internal circulations only for our students. Then we started this Star Practical. Now, in this Star Practical, what most important, interesting thing was that when we got the grant, we actually doubled the instrument. We never purchased any new equipment except for some new practicals for the Star one, which we could implement because our college is affiliating college. So we could not have much, we could not only introduce much more practicals. But what we did, the existing practical, which we used to use this as a demonstration, for this we have purchased many instruments, and some instruments we have purchased in multiple numbers. So what happened is that the group practicals which we used to conduct now we are conducting this individually, and this is with all the departments in our college. Another most interesting part, what we have started from 2011, that is your capacity building programs. Now, in this capacity building program, we target 2 different kinds of sections of people. One is students. We invite them from rural areas. We send our college vehicle to those areas, to those schools, and bring them in our college. And we give a 1-day open sessions to them. Whatever experiment they want to do, say if physics department wants to conduct, so we give them, say, some capacitor, some conductor, and we tell them, okay, do some experiments. And our teacher help them to do it. Science, we just bring them to a 4 or 5 microscope, and we should tell them, what do you want to see, you tell us. So students are so innovative, and by this program, especially from rural areas and also from the urban areas, we are now getting a good number of students who are really interested to pursue their career in the basic sciences. Then another thing we started in 2015, that is a science mela. This started when we celebrated 30 years of DBT existence. And that time our college was selected as one of the colleges to celebrate the 30 years of DBT. And then we started this program called as Science Mela. And in this Science Mela, it has become such a hit program. Now every year college does this. So here we see lot amount of students who are participating in this Science Mela. Then another most interesting program which we have seen among the students, they feel very nice when we do some program called as Fun with Chemistry. So here we invite the students and we tell them, do some fun with chemistry experiment. You can see the YouTube videos and all those things, how you add the potassium permanganate and hydrogen peroxide, you'll see a foam kind of thing coming out there. So under teacher supervision, we tell students that, okay, you come and do it and have a fun with chemistry. Then another program we could organize in another way, it is actually called as the outreach program. Now, in this outreach program, we have actually motivated students to come and join, because if you see the rural school scenario in context to our state of Meghalaya, they are not having so much of good infrastructure, but we get very good students from there. Besides this, we have to translate many of what we started is that community library for the village student. So what we have done, we have got some departments like Khasi departments are there, local language departments are there. We contact them and we convert our practicals or any kind of pamphlets we want to give to the students for studying. We convert this into local language, and then we go and distribute them. So this has actually helped us to get more talented students in the science. Then another part we have taken is about the faculty development program, mostly for this is actually we do for the school teachers, class 10, 11, 12. And this every year we do it. And it has been very, very successful in implementing this. We have been very, very successful in implementing this program. Then beside this, we have our students, we have trained them with our teachers how to write the SOPs and all. And we have got, for all the science departments, we have got our own SOPs, which the students, they do it in the laboratories. Then another remarkable achievement which we could do is that one of our department, the Department of Physics, has come out with low-cost experiment. Now, this low-cost experiment actually, in some way or other, it has actually helped us a lot during this pandemic. Then popularization of full scope microscope. We have done extensive number of programs with the urban schools, with the rural schools, and wherever we could could not reach to the students, we even gone to students' house and give them the full scope microscope training. So this was also another initiative which was taken under the Star College scheme. Then with the Star College scheme, our students could actually start vermicomposting unit in our college, and we have a permanent vermicomposting unit along with rainwater harvesting. Our EVS department is they're very active in this. Then also we started many such initiative in our campus, like collection of the waste, segregation of the waste into biodegradable and non-biodegradable. And we have been actually got the award for last 4 years. We're getting this Clean and Green Campus Award, which is initiated by the Ministry of Rural and Renewable Energy. Then another part which we are doing with Government of Meghalaya is that we have taken an initiative to educate people. So during this pandemic, what we have done, we have run a huge number of value addition courses or add-on courses, taking into consideration many stakeholders, students, one stakeholders, then general public, one stakeholders, and we used to educate them on how to identify adulterants in food with the help of this manual called as the DAT. So we train our students perform this for the students, for the local public, and also in the local language also. We have this in many languages. We have in local language, we have in Hindi, we have in Bengali, and we have in other languages which are spoken in our state. And for all stakeholders, our students have made many, many videos, which are actually now circulated by the state government. We have given these things to the state government to create awareness how to identify adulterants in the foods. Then another part, what we have done from 2016 is skill-based program. We have been successfully from last 4 years, only last 2 years we could not do because of the pandemic situation. But before that, we have started this skill development program for 1 month along with the Biotech Park in Lucknow. And they come, and with our faculty and our infrastructure here, we train students. And out of this, there are now 5 successful startups they have already started in their state, in their own village. Then another new initiative we have taken is this is called as Partnership for Learning. It is called as PFL. Now, in this, what we do, we identify some students and we take them to some schools and tell them, you teach 2 students, you teach 3 students. Like that, we have started for Partnership for Learning. Then beside this, we have got many, these are some of the successful stories. Many students, they go for qualify for national entrances and all. And we already have started many UG research from 2015. Every year, we publish 1 or 2 papers where we train students, they take up some minor research projects, and we publish them along with the students in major journals. So because of the Star College award, we have been placed under the national platform from the college. So with this, actually, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Radhikari, for sticking to the time and also for showing us how much you have accomplished and benefited from this scheme. Yeah, let's just quickly switch gears to learn about the FIST, the Fund for Improvement of Science and Technology program of the Department of Science and Technology from Dr. Akhilesh Mishra. Dr. Akhilesh Mishra is currently working as Scientist E in the Department of Science and Technology and mainly deals with technology development related programs for promoting indigenous development of technology and device in the country. He also has a keen interest in promoting scientific R&D activities for conservation of Indian heritage objects. Through a science and heritage research initiative, he started a new program on heritage research to address cultural heritage related issues. Dr. Mishra has been instrumental in setting up DST centers for policy research in different subject areas across the country. He is also a member of the Indian National Young Academy of Sciences and has been nominated as a member of the Academic Council, Biju Patnaik University of Technology, Odisha. So I welcome Dr. Akhilesh Mishra to deliver his talk.
Thank you, Dr. Nivedita. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we can see your slides. Yeah.
Yeah. So I welcome all the participants here in this symposium for fostering UG research. We have a wonderful program. The first session, we have Dr. Vate and then Apurva Bhave from ISER Pune. The post-lunch session, there was a good presentation by Dr. Puri from DBT, and myself now going to present on DST scheme on FIST. There's a fund for improvement for science and technology infrastructure. So we have seen 3 examples of DBT scheme, Star College scheme. So seeing from stakeholder perspective, it is very good to see that the program are going well in the field. But at the same time, we have to see what are the challenges and what are the problems in the country for science and technology. So Indian SMC system is very vast, as Dr. Puri has also mentioned in his slide that this is very diversified, but some excellence in select area. But the good part is that one of the world's largest young researcher we have. Out of more than 3,50,000, we have around 1 lakh young researchers in the country. And this is the biggest strength of the country SNT system. So India today more than have 300 R&D institutions that belong to SNT ministries and department. Our SNT output system is very cost effective. So altogether, our all department and ministry are here to strengthen our national capacity and capability in science and technology. So these are some key features of Indian R&D system. We are third in publication, third position in publication in nanoscience, 9th position in terms of quality and patent filing. We are also producing 25,000 PhD per year, which is the third largest in terms of number of PhD in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So after US and China. So these are the good indicators which shows the recent trend in S&P, and we are having 48 rank in the Global Innovation Index, which shows that our research and education system is transforming towards innovation system. So these are the good example for having good strength in S&P. You can see the labs, universities, colleges spread across the country. So we have a good national research system in the country, and many programs we have through which we can support our R&D institutions and academic institutions. So you can see that in 1950 we had only 27 universities and 208 professional colleges. But right now we are having more than 900 universities and 10,000 technical institutions and 5,000 science colleges and more than 6,000 research labs in the country. So with this, you can see our R&D funding pattern. You can see the size of circle, which shows the investment size in the R&D. And you can also see India is spending more than 60 billion US dollar in science, in research and development. But the good thing is that we are having more than 3 lakh manpower, R&D manpower, who are working day and night for research and development ecosystem. But there are some concerns how to increase our national expenditure in R&D, how to enhance private sector participation, how to increase S&T manpower, and how to attract good students to study science, and how to improve our research quality. So these are the concerns which we always, and also a weak participation of university sector in R&D. So we are talking about your colleges which are part of university system. So now they are doing very good job in terms of providing good R&D output. So you can see that there are many S&P departments from ICR, ICMR, CSIR. So my department, I belong to Department of Science and Technology, which was established in 1971. And this year we are celebrating 50 years of establishment. So golden jubilee years we are celebrating, but due to pandemic time, all activities are going on online. So the Ministry of Science and Technology is the nodal agency for promotion of scientific research in the country. And the Department of Science and Technology, which is a part of ministry, along with Department of Biotechnology and Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, having annual budget more than 40,000 crore rupees, and altogether our 3 departments are running more than 80 institutions, organizations across the country. So this department is having many stakeholders, starting from students, youth, university, women, innovators, industry, and society at large. So this Ministry of Science and Technology support roughly through human resource development, capacity building, and creation and augmentation of existing S&T infrastructure. So there are many schemes, including S&T entrepreneurship, research park, technology business incubator. So I will cover this sometime later. But the main thing is that societal intervention of S&T, so science for people and people for science. This is the part of our new draft STI policy, science for people and people for science. So through which we can accomplish the dream of Prime Minister Atmanirbhar Bharat. So these are the sub-scheme of Department of Science and Technology. There are 3 umbrella schemes supporting S&T institutional and human capacity building. research and development in thematic area, and innovation, technology development and deployment. Apart from a CRB and running many autonomous institutions in DST, there is a national mission on interdisciplinary cyber physical system. This program is recently launched by Government of India. So there is a Science and Engineering Research Board. Many of you are aware about this. This promotes basic research in the country. And recently CRB has launched one program for teacher associate for research enhancement known as TARE. And this program is for the bringing latent and unutilized talent from college back into R&D. So there are many faculties in the college, SNT department, SNT who are having PhD and research interest, but they don't have support for their R&D work. So due to the lack of this, this program TARE is being supported by SCRB for those who are having keen interest in R&D. They can collaborate with some institute and they can have some funding support for their work and also fellowship for that for 5 years. So these are the program, but I will focus on the FIST as Dr. Nivedita requested me to focus on the FIST, which is known as Infrastructure Creation and Augmentation Scheme of DST. This FIST scheme is for the PG colleges which are having science department. This is not only for UG colleges, but those departments, those colleges who are having PG departments, they can apply for this grant. But those departments should have at least 3 years of existence. So there are other infrastructure creation program like PERS. This is for university, performing university, and one program is SAFE. This is analytical instrumentation facility, where any of researcher, any of faculty member can go with their sample and get it analyzed with this facility using this. So more than 20,000 researcher and user are using this SAFE facility created across the country. So what is FIST program? This program was initiated in 2001, 20 years ago. And this was basically to augment and create new infrastructure facility for teaching as well as conducting research in basic or applied sciences area. So objective is toward providing basic infrastructure. But you can see the level of support. The level 0 is for PG college with SNT department. I will focus here only. There are other 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 for the university which are having SNT department. So SNT department can apply for the level 1, but PG colleges as a whole unit can apply for level 0. And this support is for 5 years. In 5 years, in last 20 years, we have supported more than 3,000 SNT departments and colleges. Out of 3,000 SNT departments, 500 are only colleges. So we have given support of 3,000 crore rupees for these 3,000 SNT department and colleges. So 1 crore, roughly 1 crore per year per college, we are giving in this support for the fund for infrastructure development. So you can see from 2019, FIST support level with financial limit is for level 0, it is 1.5 crore rupees for 5 years, in which any college can apply, any college having SNT department can apply and get funding support for infrastructure augmentation and creation of new facility for R&D in their campuses. So annual operation flow is the call for proposal at the end of May every year, and screening of proposal in month of July started. Then there will be presentation of shortlisted and screened proposal in month of August, September, and October, 3 months long procedure. And after approval from FIST Advisory Board, the result will be announced in the month of January next year, and the fund will be released in the month of February and March. So almost within 9 months after applying for this program, we will get funded. So you can see across the country, 3,000 S&T departments and colleges who have applied for the fund support. These are some example, basic example for state-of-art facility creating in many of the colleges, many top-level institutions like ISER, AIMS. So these are the example of fund support for instrumentation, research infrastructure instrument in Department of Botany. Any S&T department can apply. So there are 7 level of 7 category of support in which life science or physical science, chemical science, earth science, engineering and technology, and medical science. These are 6 subject areas, and apart from this, college as a whole can apply in this one. Very interestingly, you can see that 28% of engineering college, 28% of the support goes to engineering college, and after following by life science. So 24% around going to life science departments. Colleges around 12% success rate. The colleges every year we support around 150 colleges with the support of 150 crore. So 1 crore to each college. So apart from this, SAF program is there where you can apply for analytical use of instrumentation for your sample, and you can get analyze your sample. So there recently DST has created 3 Sathi centers. This is sophisticated analytical and technical help institute. 3 institutions were created at IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, and BHU Varanasi with top and high-end instrumentation available to these centers. This support is around 125 crore each center for 3 years, and we are planning to establish 20 more centers in coming 4-5 years. Already known about Inspire program, but I will not focus on this because I have to focus only on the FIST program. But this is to support only student at UG level. Most of the student after having 10+2 examination, and those who are having top 1% in the class 10+2, they get scholarship for their study BSc and MSc, and then PhD, and then at postdoc level also. So currently we are supporting more than 50,000 students at UG level at particular time, and we are providing 80,000 rupees per year each student. So this is the talent which we are grooming for our R&D support and ecosystem. So there is another program, Kiran, we can talk about it later on. This is for institutional reform for gender parity, and I would like that Inyas will take up this the further as a topic for the discussion, how to enhance our reform of gender parity in science and technology. So this is way forward. DST has been stepping up the engagement in policy formulation as well as promotion of R&D activity in the country. And you will be happy to note that out of all EMR funding, DST has 50% of its share, all above the other funding agencies. So we hope that we work toward the aim of serving India through science and technology. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nivedita, for giving me this opportunity. I'm sorry that I have to
Thank you,
conclude
Dr.
very
Mishra. Yeah, I'm really sorry we had to really rush with the last presentation, but Dr. Akhilesh Mishra will be available for questions anytime by email, or maybe if you can log into the YouTube channel, there are a few questions for Dr. Akhilesh. So I don't think we have enough time to take questions live now, but it'll be great if you can log into the YouTube channel and answer the questions of the participants. Yeah. With that, we come to the end of this session. Apologies that we could not take questions live, but I thank all the speakers for sharing their valuable thoughts and informing the participants about the two most important initiatives to strengthen undergraduate research. As the final event of today's symposium, we have the panel discussion on the topic, preparing undergraduates for a career in research. So today I have with me an excellent panel of eminent undergraduate and postgraduate teachers and researchers from diverse fields and parts of the country. They also have immensely contributed towards science education and outreach in addition to their routine responsibilities. I take immense pleasure in introducing them to you. Let me begin with Professor Muthuswamy Sivakumar, who is currently professor at the School of Physics at the Hyderabad Central University. Professor Sivakumar completed his PhD in physics from the University of Madras, and after postdoctoral training at the Institute of Mathematical Sciences and S.N. Bose National Center for Basic Sciences, he joined the School of Physics as lecturer, where he works until today. His broad fields of interest include quantum field theory, general theory of relativity, and condensed matter physics. In addition to extensive teaching, Professor Sivakumar has also been pursuing some outstanding research, which has earned him several highly cited publications in reputed national and international peer-reviewed journals. He has delivered numerous talks, seminars, and colloquia at national and international levels. In recognition of his work, he has been conferred several fellowships and awards, including the INSA Visiting Fellowships and the FAPSIP Fellowship. He serves as an expert member in the DST Women Scientists Scheme and is a member of the Board of Studies at the University of Madras. Currently, his primary interest lies in contributing to physics education. Professor Sivakumar is the Chief Coordinator of Physics Training and Talent Search Program, PTTS, which he initiated in 2015. This is a novel training program for undergraduate and postgraduate students modeled after a similar program in mathematics. So far, 4 programs have been held, and this is basically a 3-week residential program having theory, tutorials, and hands-on experiments for the students. The Infosys Science Foundation funded this session last year, and this year they also organized an online program, which is a mini workshop on active learning for physics teachers in March, with resource persons drawn from Stanford University and Carl Wieman Institute for Active Learning in Canada. It was inaugurated by Professor Carl Wieman himself, the Nobel Prize winner for physics in 2001. Apart from this, Professor Sivakumar is also interested in pedagogy and physics, experimenting with new methods of teaching, framing questions, and explaining them. He also serves on the editorial board of the Journal of Physics Education. Thank you for being with us, sir, today. Yeah. Next, we have Dr. Raka Dabade, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Physics at Ferguson College, Pune. Her brief CV itself was 7 pages long. It was indeed a very difficult task for me to briefly summarize her activities and achievements. Dr. Dabade is a visiting associate at IUCAA Pune and former vice president of the Indian Association of Physics Teachers, Pune Regional Council. She is also member of the advisory board of the Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Exploratory in Pune. She founded the Astro Club in 1998, which has motivated more than 65 students to take up astronomy as a career, and they are all currently working in renowned institutes all over the world. This is probably one of the highest number of astronomy professionals coming from a single institution in India. Additionally, she has hosted numerous seminars and workshops in astronomy and astrophysics for students and teachers. She has also organized several exhibitions for schools and college students and the general public as part of her outreach activities. Dr. Dabare has never missed any opportunity to engage the public and raise public awareness of astronomy. You name it, she has done it. Radio and television programs, observational astronomy sessions, and telecast of several astronomical events. In addition to all this, she has a long list of publications to her credit, many of which have been presented at national and international conferences by her undergraduate students. She has also guided several students for KVPY scholarships and has started the Science Education Initiative in her college. Her accomplishments have been well recognized by several awards, including the prestigious Indian National Science Academy Best Teacher Award for the year 2019. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being with us here today. The third panelist, Dr. Dabare, are you here? Yeah, okay. Yes, she's here. The third panelist I will be introducing now is Dr. Ajit Hazarika. He is currently the principal of Tyagveer Hen Barua College, Sonitpur, Assam, a position he took up in 2019. Formerly, he served as Associate Professor of Zoology at Chaidwar College, Gopur, Assam. During his career as a teacher, Dr. Hazarika has always been concerned about the needs of the students and advancement of their knowledge. He has organized more than 100 workshops and seminars at the college. Dr. Hazarika also served as the coordinator of the UGC Career-Oriented Program, coordinator of the Institutional Level Biotech Hub and Advanced Institutional Biotech Hub, coordinator of the Star College Program of DBT, and several other initiatives. Recognizing his endeavors, he has been conferred several awards and fellowships, including the prestigious UGC Teacher Fellowship in 2014 and the Indian National Science Academy Best Teacher Award in the year 2017. Dr. Hazarika has also been pursuing active research with funding support from DBT and has published more than 20 research papers in international journals of repute and distinction. He has also written articles in different journals on diverse issues concerning science and society and published 8 textbooks in zoology and allied areas, which are currently being studied by students from various universities of the college. Thank you, sir, for being with us here today. Our next panelist is Dr. Vandana Bhalla, Associate Professor of Chemistry at Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Her area of specialization is supramolecular chemistry. She completed her PhD from Guru Nanak Dev University and is a recipient of the JSPS, JST, and Commonwealth Academic Fellowships. She has also been awarded the Bronze Medal by Chemical Research Society of India, Bangalore, for contribution in chemical sciences, Thomson Reuters Research Excellence India's Citation Award, Bhagyatara Award by Punjab University for her contribution in organic chemistry, all in 2015. The first Shiv Nath Rai Kohli Mid-Career Best Scientist Award for contribution in chemical sciences by Punjab University, and also the Professor S.S. Sandhu Award for the year 2017 by the Indian Chemical Society. She has a whopping 197 research publications to her credit with over 5,000 citations. She is also the proud recipient of the Indian National Science Academy Best Teacher Award for the year 2020 and the SERB Power Fellowship for 2021. Thank you, Dr. Bhalla, for joining us today. And the youngest panelist we have today is Dr. Rohini Garg, Assistant Professor at the School of Life Sciences, Shiv Nadar University. She teaches undergraduate and PhD students and has been an advisor for many undergraduate research projects, including mentoring an interdisciplinary undergraduate team for the International iGEM competition. She works in the area of plant epigenomics and its interplay with abiotic stress response and seed development in crop plants. She has been an Inspire Faculty Fellow at NIPGR New Delhi before joining Shiv Nadar University. She is the recipient of Young Scientist Awards by the 2 Indian Science Academies, the DBT Innovative Young Biotechnologist Award and the SERB Women Excellence Award. She has made significant contribution in the area of plant genomics, epigenomics, and stress biology. Dr. Garg is also a member of the Indian National Young Academy of Sciences. Thank you, Dr. Garg, for being with us today in this panel. So, with such an exciting and eminent and accomplished panel of panelists for the discussion today, let me start by asking the basic question to each one of you. Why is it important to expose students to research at the undergraduate level? Is it even feasible considering the large number of students and limited resources available at most colleges? So if I can start with Professor Shivkumar.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the question is, why one should actually be involved in the research at undergraduate teaching. See, what one should understand is by learning to do research, it is not just that, my personal opinion is it is not just that they are going to become a scientist. That is one of the main thing in which one should aim for. But apart from that, they should also learn some of the scientific thinking must be sort of inculcated in. So when they learn to learn science, the way a scientist does research, the way the curriculum is taught, if it is aimed in a way that they learn the process of thinking, the scientific thinking is also imbibed along with that, then that will serve a larger purpose in which the science, the students, when they come out, they be more scientifically enlightened. That is one of the things, because we do not expect all the students who come out of undergraduate courses to become a scientist. If such a thing happens, then it's not feasible for the society to absorb all of them to become a scientist, and there may not be so much of positions, right? All those things may not be possible. Therefore, we have to cater for two things. One is the broad science in which that people learn, right? In that, when they learn the subject, if they learn it the way scientists think, and if they learn, then they will learn the broader purpose of the contours in which the scientists think. Second is, among them, there will be a smaller subsection of these people who will aim to become a scientist in their life. Then they should be given a particular kind of a training. They can be more focused sort of a training can be given to them. So I feel that the research must be given for the research level teaching must be introduced. But again, the research level need not mean that you teach them a too advanced concept at an undergraduate level and then say that I am training them to be a scientist. If that is one of the things which I am not so much in favor of, I would like that the methodology of training must be such that learn to think like a scientist at the undergraduate level. That's my opening point.
Yes. So and how much do you think this is feasible considering the large number of students that we have at the undergraduate level?
Yes. So actually, there again, this is one of the things which I am passionately working. It is called what is called as active learning. Active learning is a thing in which is actually systematized by Carl Weyman, with whom we had a program recently, as you pointed that out, where they are, in fact, that program was, we had a 2-day workshop for physics teachers, basically college teachers, where we teach them how a program can be done at an undergraduate level for the regular classes. So this involves, you see, one thing is for these things, there should not be a full teacher just talks and talking for all the 60 minutes in the class is one of the things they said should not do that. There should be a constant interaction between the student and the teacher at every stage. Even when they learn traditional subjects like learning Newton's laws or any such traditional subject in physics, there should be a constant interaction between the students and the teachers. There is a more systematized way in which this can be done. Not only that, Carl Weyman has even developed for all these subjects in his research institute, which he built it based on his Nobel Prize money. He built a research institute. So there, these things has been more systematized, which means that they have scientifically studied. They had a control group with those who did not have active learning, those who had active learning, and compared the outcome. Then they found that those who had an active learning had a much way better way in which they absorb the subject. They came up with the solutions. When you give a new environment, if it is presented, they are able to think somewhat differently, and then they are able to do that. Those kind of things has been studied in that context. But in Indian context, there is very less methodology has been done. And that is one of the things we want to propagate as a kind of, an alternate way in which to be done. In fact, the program you mentioned, the PTTS, the Physics Training and Talent Search Program, in fact, our motto itself, the logo itself is experience active learning. So by active learning is basically students should not be a passive listeners. They sit in the class, teachers keeps talking or showing some PowerPoint, they write down notes and then they go back and then we think that we have taught them and students think that they understood it. So that is not what we want to teach. So the learning should be given more emphasis. So the process in which it has to be done, there itself at every stage, students must not be a passive listeners. They must be an active participant in which a student is teacher's class. So basically, they should be taught to question everything you teach. They should be taught to have an alternate point of view. They should come and discuss with you, right? And there should be more collaborative discussions among them, between the students. All of them, there should be a forum or there should be a way in which that has to be done. So that will be the way one should do. And the cost can be, we may have to reduce the content of what you want to teach, right? If you can reduce a little bit of content, whatever they learn, they will learn very thoroughly. And in the process, they will learn to learn. In fact, our motto in our program itself is, which he concluded just today. Many students, they even said that in the feedback, we were very happy that, we have learned to learn physics. So that is the way when we feel that should be done. Then it can be taken to a much larger society at large.
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Shivkumar. Yes, Dr. Dabade, your thoughts on this?
Actually, I was listening to all the speakers since morning.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Most of the things have been covered, whatever I wanted to say by Vatve sir and Apurva madam, but still I would like to add a few things. When we talk about undergraduate research, I personally feel research, instead of the word research, if we use the word projects, because at undergraduate level, the students, instead of putting them, suddenly they have come from 12th standard onwards, and if you say research, it's a big word, I think. So I think you can just say projects, and the projects can evolve into research, later on. So basically what is happening, very few universities in India have research, or not research, I would say projects at undergraduate level as a compulsory part of the lab course. Okay, we are lucky in Pune University for physics at least and electronics, we have a project as a third year component as a part of the lab. So students anyway are supposed to do that as a project. Now here, when you're doing a project for undergraduate students, the teacher usually has to play a role. So we have two different roles. One role is that the faculty member will be the main primary researcher who is going to tell the students what is to be done. Otherwise, what we have, the student himself comes up with some idea of his or her own, and he could be guided by the faculty member as an advisor only. Here, we also have some senior students from MSc and PhD who can also guide them. Some of the students visit industries, for example, they visit certain research labs where the scientists from various central labs can also help them. So that also helps them in doing their project. And once they do a project at an undergraduate level in third year, depending on the student, how bright he is or he is an average student, some of them who get guides from other institutions are exposed to many things which we people in the college may not be able to expose them. Then recently, the funding from DBT and other things have really helped us to carry out better projects. But I would say, apart from projects and funding, without funding also you can do a lot of projects. I mean, I can just come back to that later on. So what the student we have seen has learned out of the third year BSc project. I'm not going into post-graduation because in most universities you have post-graduation projects. So that is, or research you would say. So these students, when they are doing a project in their third year, they come up with a project which they like, means instead of the compulsory subjects which they are taught or the compulsory lab which they have to do, they come up with a project on their own, or they ask the teacher, can you help me? Or we give them some 10 to 20 topics, and then he comes up with something he likes. So he gets a real world experience when he's doing the project in the entire year. Another thing is that their relations with the faculty. For example, I have some few project students. I have a better understanding of that student apart from the lab course, apart from the theory classes which I'm conducting. So there is a good relationship which is built with the faculty and the students. When they do projects among themselves in a group, there is a good understanding among the peers also. Then if you don't have funding, you can also set up small experiments with the existing lab equipment. That itself is very, very unique and original, using the lab equipment at your disposal. And during the course of their projects, they learn how to read books. Nowadays, I've seen many students don't read books like many of the older generations used to read. So here we make them read books. They learn referencing. They learn to read research papers, because, when you read a research paper once, you don't understand it until you read it 2 or 3 times again and again. Then they learn how to use websites properly for searching material apart from books. Data collection. Nowadays, data collection is very important, because data collection could be online and offline also, because a lot of data is available online, but you should know how to search it, where to search it, and use it. Similarly, how to collect data manually. For example, right now we have COVID cases going on, floods going on, diseases and this and that. Students can actually go into the society and collect data. So that also they learn many things apart from the online data. Then after collecting the data, data analysis comes into the picture, using certain computer tools, graphical methods, and so on. And then finally, we have the project writing. That skills, how to write projects, which kind of English to use, all these things. So many of these things really, makes a student more confident, I would say. And then you must have seen that when students are applying to very good institutions for their project, for their PhD and scholarships, you will see most of the institutions ask for what was your undergraduate thesis, which many of the students in some universities are lost. They may be very bright, but they have not carried out a project. And I basically tell my students that if undergraduate project is very good, you will definitely do a better project in your post-graduation, and then you are still better PhD as you will evolve, much better. Another thing I would like to point out is what Vatve sir said in the morning, the katta concept. We have in our college many science clubs, like I have in physics department, Astro Club. So these club activities really help students to coming together weekly, talking with their friends, discussing things, and then carrying out their projects. Even, you don't have to be in third year BSc to do a project. You can do it in first year, second year, and so on. So they learn from their seniors. This is where a place where they learn from their seniors, and they're not shy, because, when the teacher is around, they're a little shy to discuss certain things. But when they have their seniors around, maybe a postgraduate student or an alumni who might have come, to the college. So these katta activities, or I will call it as science club activities, these have been, hubs where small project activities have also grown, and the students really evolve at the end of the project. And this is my experience I'm sharing with you. And of course, nowadays, because of DBT, we are getting funds, but even without DBT or before DBT, I would say there are lots of things online which are available as far as data is concerned. And data analysis nowadays has become a very important part of, I would say, science education, because here you can have computer science students, playing a role, electronics, physics, any branch in science. You can get data from your contributors. You should know how to use it, how to draw graphs and so on. But students learn immensely when they do one project lab instead of one theory course. I think they enjoy doing a project lab rather than the typical experiments which they are mechanically doing, So that's my experience.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am. So looks like the kata model is like a Pune thing now. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I heard this from another lecturer also from Mumbai. So it's really nice, and many colleges are actually bringing this up. Like Dr. Barve said in her talk, that they are actually running workshops for at the national level to train teachers all around the country. on this, and that seems to be a really very good model to follow everywhere. So, Dr. Hazarika, can we hear your thoughts on this? Dr. Hazarika, are you around? Can you please unmute yourself?
Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. From my 27 years experience from the rural college of Assam, for why it is exposed the student to research at UG level. First question, my thinking is like that. The problem of student presenting textbook in examination without applying critical and innovative thinking. Therefore, to the student inducted the class of research as early as pedagogical possible in the undergraduate level. This is the true for both, not only the science, it's also for the social science. First, second, what extra effort does they require from the teacher's perspective? My opinion is that teachers should encourage the student to take feasible project work and teach them how to counter it. They should also help in making good output and should communicate to the research journal for publication so that they give motivation to the student to pursue the research work at undergraduate level. Somebody says that money is a problem.
Sir, we lost you. Are you? Yes, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Actually, for the internship like that, those who have already Purisa, those getting the Star College scheme. Every department have in addition non-recurring 3 lakhs per year. How many students in a college in the stream? Exactly, if you go to the internship, if we are organizing seminars, symposium, workshop, XYZ, this is feasible. In addition to the DBT support many schemes. Like that in my, right now I am the principal of a college. During my associate professor tenure, I completed 27 years in teaching. That period, I was the coordinator of the Star College scheme, Star Department, XYZ, everything from that. In addition to that, special schemes for the Northeast. This is the biotech hub. Initially, the institutional biotech hub, and it convert to the, depend upon the progression, it convert to the advanced level biotech hub. Use money funding from the DBT point of view. In the lastly, in I think in the end of the 17 or mid to the 17 or 18, they new launched the full scope program. Those who have applied the full scope program under this we are facility available in the college, but we have to motivate the student to encourage the undergraduate on local demand. Actually, those who have belong from the rural areas, they understand what is the problem of research. Those stay in the university level, generally urban and that area, the PG student is not a problem, but undergraduate student in my college right now, more than 2,700 students in both arts and science team is there. Everybody have the time limited. So what happened? Actually, curriculum designing is the main problem. At the end of the semester, only 6 month semester, the project work is there. But it should be given the more time. That student should learn something, and for the output of the project should be need the time. So in the form of project, it should be introduced in the curriculum. I hope the new education policy will be comes out. Then it will be 1.5 years of project in this regard. First of all, my opinion is that, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that gives us a glimpse of how the situation is in rural colleges, like you said, and the challenge will be to get in more students and cater to all of them with the limited resources that the institution gets. Can we hear your thoughts, Dr. Vandana Balla? So how is it in chemistry?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Nivedita. And first of all, I'm highly thankful to you for inviting me at this platform. So I am listening to all, and I just want to add few points. For example, Dr. Raka was stressing upon the teacher-student relationship and the relationship between senior and junior. So I fully agree to this. If we inculcate research at UG level, so sense of belongingness is increased in the student. And this goes on building a good alumni institute relationship, which is needed in the universities which are in rural areas, or for example, colleges, even our university. It is just very close to the Pakistan, and now it is progressing like anything. This is because of the FIST, DST, PERS, and the SAF, which Dr. Mishra was just talking about. So research at the UG level is very important. And again, one more point I want to elaborate, which previously has been discussed. That is the development of critical thinking. And another thing is to face the failure. So whenever a student is assigned a project, it is not sure that it will be successful. So failure of the project leads to something else. So these are the things which students learn during their projects. And it is my experience that Dr. Sivakumar was talking that everyone cannot be scientist. That is correct. That is correct. But in my university, when I started my career 2007 until now, the undergrad students who have done short research work in our lab, they have definitely joined the research as a career. So in our university, we are not lucky to have research as part of the curriculum at UG level. So it is only by the interest that the students join, and almost all of them, they went for the PhD in the later stages. And funding is a problem, that is true, but now the government is doing many things for removing this funding problem. And another thing is, in our place, another problem is mindset also. I think some problems are from area to area. For example, Punjabis, they are very famous to go to Canada after +2. So the target is not science or research. The target is to go abroad, USA and etc. So with the small project, I have seen that at least their thought process is changed. They are going abroad, but they are going abroad for doing PhD. So this is the difference. Otherwise, they were moving abroad just for something. They were ready to do anything, but going for studying science, this is a change which I am seeing in my students. So having research at the UG level is definitely a promising thing. It should be introduced. Now, I want to answer the second question which you asked, that with so much intake, how it is possible. That is another challenge, because in our university at BSc level in chemistry, we have an intake of 100, and it is not possible to do design projects for all of them. So for this, we have done that we are introducing some good lab habits in the practical levels. So how to maintain the rough notebook, because everyone is concerned about the final notebook, but no one talk about the practical notebook, how to record the data, how to maintain it. And one good thing which we do is, whenever a student enter in the first semester, we allot him the apparatus. And that apparatus will stay with him for all the 3 years. So it is his responsibility to maintain it, to locate it, to clean it. So this develop a sort of independence and responsibility. And another, for the around 10% students, we select them for the research projects, which are at the independent choice, depend upon the individual he want to do or not. And for some students at the third year level, we introduce some practicals by choice, in which students will design the practical and we will provide the apparatus or chemicals extra, and he or she will be conducting under the guidance of some seniors, PhD research scholars, or any teacher, young faculty specialty. So these are the few things which we are doing at our level, but definitely more input is needed from the DST phased or at the government level, and even at the UGC level, that it should be a part of the curriculum, because having research at UG level is definitely going to pay, as the slogan is, catch them young. So this is very important. These are my views. Thank you.
Great. That's a lot of input about how your university deals with implementing this research supportive curriculum, in spite of having a heavy intake of students every year. And I really like that the point that you said, even learning to maintain a lab notebook is a good lifelong skill that students have to learn. And yes, I totally agree with you. And finally, Dr. Rohini Garg, so what do you have to say about this?
I think I have been lucky to, because our university supports UG research since for their second year, and we have been, been able to catch them young, as Dr. Vandana has just said, for their interest in research. And it is not, compulsory projects that they do and research work that they do. They do it on their own wish, and therefore there is, a sense of responsibility and engagement that is also there with the students, along with the skills that they need to record their observations, to present their results, and to critically analyze. So I think the most important aspect of doing a UG research again is critical thinking and the ability to integrate different approaches to solve a problem. For example, research doesn't mean that, if there is a botany or a biology student, they need to be restricted to that. They should be able to apply different concepts and different areas. For example, if they are looking around and agricultural practices, so they should be able to integrate history into agricultural practices and chemistry also, to understand these concepts, and it helps. And doing research at UG level helps them to really relate to the topics that are present in their textbooks. So that's my take. So I think critical thinking development is one of the very important outcome of UG research projects. I'll stop there, and maybe we can move on to the next question.
Yes. So my next question is, what efforts have you taken? I think some of it has been covered in the previous question itself. What efforts have you specifically taken to implement undergraduate research at your institution during your career, and how has that impacted the students and, most importantly, yourself in your career? And of course, there would have been challenges, and if you would like to list one or two challenges that you faced during this process, we'd be happy to hear. So let me start with Dr. Hazarika, because he already mentioned about the extra challenges that they have to face coming from a rural area. Dr. Hazarika, how have you managed to face the challenges in implementing, say, the research supportive curriculum at your institute? Dr. Hazarika, we're not able to hear you yet.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you just tell us how
Sorry,
you have...
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes. So can you tell us how you have managed to face...
I unable.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. So how have you managed... Yes. Okay. So how have you managed to face the challenges that you have encountered while implementing a research supportive undergraduate curriculum in your college?
Yeah. Actually, UG research currently being implemented in the form of projects and dissertation work in certain subjects. Because we are affiliated to Guwahati University, as per designing of the syllabus, we are abide by the syllabus of the Guwahati University. Within stipulated time, we have to complete it. So undergraduate research restrict up to the project or dissertations level in our institutions, especially in the in-semester. Here, students are taught to prepare project work based on the field study or lab-based work and how to write a paper or how to prepare a project up to this point. As a part of the program, some percentage of students are also sent to the internship in some other institution, because we have a MOU with the, say, Tezpur University near to my district, Guwahati University, IIT Guwahati, like that. We are sending our students, few students are sending to the that institution with institutional monetary support, not from the other supporters, because in undergraduate a huge number of students is there. We are unable to provide the full amount, but we have lump sum amount we pay and send to the internship. Due resource paucity, and we have not come from the other funding agency for the research purposes. We are using the Star College non-recurring fund as well as the Biotech Hub non-recurring fund. Over the years, I have 27 years my teaching experience in the UG level. Over the years, I observed that those students who work seriously and prepare good research work in the form of project or dissertation, they also credited to the highest performance in the grade in semester. It is also observed that they have done considerably good performance in their higher studies, including MSc and PhD programs. Initially, when I was the assistant professor in this college, that time in the zoology honors, only 5 students is there. After the motivating and the different the jobs of the chemistry like that, we are motivating the students. We visited nearby schools, nearby higher secondary schools, how to motivate from the towards the science. Generally, they are choosing the engineering, medical like that. That student we are motivating, and right now we are unable to provide the honors because my honors seat is only 50. Applying candidate last year, applying candidate 210, but out of 210, we are able to admit in my college only 50. So I think this project and my teacher motivational, it will increase the research time. That nearby many institutes is there. They're lacking this institute and joining in my institute, I think.
Okay. Yes. So this is something that Dr. Adhikari also mentioned in the previous session in Meghalaya about the motivation to get the students in to study basic sciences. Yes.
Adhikari and myself, we are representing together the DBT Star College Scheme and then the Biotech Hub and Full Scope program.
Okay.
All three projects we are combined together. That's why you also telling like that.
Yes. Okay. So a lot of collaborations really help in that case to support such a research environment. Yes. Okay. Great. Professor Shivakumar, you have had a really long career. So tell us about what challenges you had faced in bringing about this active learning strategies that you're talking about.
Yeah. See, the real challenge is. I would say that in experimental physics, the lab courses which are being done, by and large, I mean, I would say that the discussion we have depends on subject specific. So whatever I am saying is basically from the physics, from that background, from with that experience, that most of them are some kind of a cookbook recipes are there. That is, you just students come with a specific instructions, everything is sort of predetermined. He just mechanically does and goes. So a real challenge I would face, I think, is, you have to have an innovation in the regular curriculum of the lab experiment itself, is where they will just come, their thinking ability, they have designing ability, their, the fusion or the marriage between the physics concept and the experiment, the theory and the lab, all of them must be rounded together. In the program which I am running, that physics training, a PTTS program, we really do in that way. We give a 3 weeks, students do only one experiment where nothing is given to the student. Only one statement of the problem is given, and then they have to come with the design of how they will go about doing it and how they will complete. We even tell them that you can buy whatever equipment you want, but budget is 200 rupees. This budget restriction is forcefully we are doing it so that they think out of box, right? So in fact, today we had this on online level, we had this kind of an experiment which we just completed, and students came out of the way, and they thought, they said they didn't even realize the household equipments which they did was used to really do an experiment. This was this is for MSc level, at the BSc level and also the MSc level. The BSc level, about 50 students we took, and all of them did an experiment of this kind. So I would say the challenge will be more towards the experiment. The lab side of it is becoming a too routine. For a theory course, at least in physics, we have learned the concept. There is a problem solving session, tutorials are there. But the analogous thing for the experimental session, it is not there. So experimental session, the challenge is, the students just come and this 3 weeks, they are told the instruction, do this, do this, do that, and everything is given. They mechanically do that. So that is something should be broken in that. And that how we implement in the regular thing is something which we have not completely been thought of on how we have to do that. But there is some really challenge must be done. It must be taken up. I feel that redoing the conventional experimental course to something more innovative, where students have some scope for designing and thinking must be. That is something I will feel is a real challenge for across everywhere for the physics lab courses. That's I would think is my big challenge.
Yes, true. I completely agree. Dr. Dabade, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as far as challenges are concerned, like most of the people said here, in our college also at undergraduate level, TY third year BSc Physics, we have 100 plus students. So, and as the project is a compulsory part of the course as lab, one of the labs, so we staff members presently are 12. Needed are 27. That means 27 vacancies were there, and out of the 27, we are only 12. So less than half the population of staff. So 100 something we have BSc third year students, plus MSc we have 2 divisions. So that is 30 plus 24 or 54. So we also have MSc students for the project. So we have third year and MSc. So that comes out to be more than 154 students projects, which we 12 people have to implement. So what we have done is, we know that we are 12. We don't have staff, no CHB staff also presently. So roughly 12 to 13 students are given to each person. Now, out of these 12 to 13 students which we have, 2 to 3 students may be very, very intelligent, where they are already way ahead of their normal peers, So they already have an idea what they are going to do. So we are lucky in that way that a few students they already know what they're going to do. So that takes care of them. Then the remaining students, we have to give them something, because there are some very below average or average students, who really don't know what a project is like or so on. So because this is the first time they are doing it. So we ourselves have to be ready with some topics so that we give them for a couple of months. We tell them to do some referencing and then we go about it. In some cases, we have in the physics lab, for example, now in the since we are autonomous, we have 3 physics labs per semester. So total 6 physics labs, out of which 1 is project. So in their physics labs, whatever experiments they are doing, we also make sure that the typical experiment which is there in the lab can be, again, the same experiment can be repeated in various ways, and various other things could be added to the same experiment. So that could be a project. Another thing in Pune, we are lucky is that we are surrounded by many national institutions, So we as staff, we have a lot of good connections with the faculty or the scientists in these institutions. For example, Ayuka, NCRA, NCL, CMET, And these institutions, which are basically research institutions, they are devoid of, the younger generation students. They only have PhD and postdoc students. So whenever any undergrad or PG student comes to them, they're very happy to be associated with the students. So most of the students with good academic CV, we send it to these scientists and then they say, okay, I'll take care of this student. So that also helps us. Another thing is that sometimes we couple the MSc and BSc students. For example, if I'm guiding two MSc students, I will also join two other BSc students with the same students. So they may be doing a similar project, but the levels will be different. The MSc student will have a higher level of project. He will go ahead with something else. Well, the BSc student will work with him and the teacher guide, and that's all. Then we also have students who go to industries. We have many industries again around, so we always have talks with some industry people, that when, for example, a capacitor making industry or a battery making industry, so the student can go there at least twice or thrice a week, and they learn something there, they do something there, so that itself becomes a project. So this is how we handle the project students. And then we also have our mentoring sessions. Every week we tell the students to send us a mail or at least 2 lines or 3 lines or a paragraph on whatever you have been doing for the last 1 week. If you haven't done anything, just tell us you haven't done anything. So everything, we keep a record of how they evolve the project every week. And then of course we have the internal marks and the external marks for the project. And that's how, because the population is a lot. And out of these students, again, whenever there are conferences and all, so we do have students who have performed very well in conferences, national and international conferences. And some students who have worked with the faculty from central government institutions, like NCL, Ayuka, they have even published papers in good journals, at undergraduate level. So that's a very good achievement. The students, and that adds to their CV, and believe me, ma'am, most of the students who have done these wonderful students, as in our college in physics, for example, I take astronomy and astrophysics. So most of the students per year, they get very good scholarships to go to other countries, full scholarships. I mean, the prestigious Bonn, Cologne, graduate school, at least 4 to 5 students every year go to that with full scholarship. So many people end up with scholarships because they already have done a project at undergraduate level. That helps them to get into MS with scholarship. Otherwise, some people even for PhD later on in life. So that really helps them. And we are okay with, we are really happy with this project component.
Yes, so that brings me to the another add-on question. So you brought out that there are some students who are really good and are interested in research there, but there are some who are not really into it.
Yes,
or some students who are really not as good as the others. So how do you, next challenge would be not just the teaching, but the assessment part of it. So how, if you are trying to implement such a curriculum, how would you assess the students based on these outcomes? Isn't that even more challenging?
It is, what we have, as I said, because we are autonomous, we have the internal marking system and the external is the final examination. So for projects, we have 50 marks for internal and 50 marks for external. For external, we will be having different examiners. For internal, the guide will be responsible and seeing how the student is progressing every month. Or suppose a semester is roughly for 3 months, then how he's progressing for every 2 weeks, what the student has done, and so on. And in their internal assessments, we also give them some lectures and some YouTube lectures, some already recorded lectures that you learn this. For example, copyrights, then plagiarism, and then how to write a project report, referencing, all these lectures are also given. And on that also we have small tests, of 10 marks, 15 marks, what the student has learned. So that becomes the internal part. So suppose the internal is for 50 marks. So I may have 25 marks given by the guide, So depending on how the student has progressed and whether he or she has really done some work every week and reported properly. And the other 25 marks can be split into 10 and 15, where we have these questions on whatever assignments we have given them, on these lectures to do. So they learn what are copyrights, they learn what is plagiarism, they learn all these things. And that itself also makes them, like even cyber crime is there and all these things. So these things are for their internal assessment. And then final assessment is of 50 marks, where the student has to give a viva on the project by a PowerPoint presentation, and the two teachers judge accordingly. So typically very good students get, say, 45 marks out of 50. A very bad student may get 20, depending on how, but they have done something. So, okay, they pass. Very few who really have done nothing will fail in this project lab.
Okay. Dr. Vandana, you've already spoken about some of the challenges, but can you tell us how you deal with these challenges in your department?
Yeah, so I was just listening to all, and the challenges are same actually. Motivation. First thing is motivation, then how to bridge the theory and the practical class. Third one is the staff crunch, and the fourth one is the students who are not interested. Okay, so motivation is a big issue, and one thing which I have observed, luckily I meet them at the very first level, that is the first semester. So the one thing which I have noticed differently, that is some of the students who are really good, they are actually depressed after not cracking their medical exam or the engineering exam. So they really need motivation. So I have just stressed on 2 points while teaching them. One is at the practical level. So I just make it interesting and challenging also. For example, for the next day practical, I will give them some assignment. So before they come to the lab, they already know what they are going to do. They will read something. And second is how to maintain the notebook and ethics. So I stress them that I am not interested in yield. I just want what you have done honestly. So ethic development. Another thing which I do usually, and I'm still doing, that is during the theory classes, I discuss my research work, even the research work of my colleagues, whatever is the relevant. And another thing, for example, if I am teaching some named reaction, I will tell them to look at the research and find out the latest, what is happening in this area. So this is how I try to bridge the gap between theory and the practical. I just want to give them a feeling that what you are studying is actually real. It is applicable, and this concept is there in the daily life, only you are not watching it. So this is how I end the discussion. And another thing for the students who are actually not interested, but I am happy, and at this point I will agree with Dr. Siva Kumar that you cannot make them researcher, but at least we train them to have critical thinking, to have good communication skill. They can express them very well, and they become, at the end, they are good in the problem solving. So these are few problems which I have faced, and this is how I am trying to overcome it.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. Rohini?
I think, Nivedita, the challenge is also, to have them understand the process of investigation or research. Because as a young researcher, they are, full of energy. So you have to, and full of ideas. So they do branch out in many different directions. I'm not saying there is anything wrong in that, but as a part of a project, I think it's important to have them understand the process of investigation and how to narrow it down and how to do research, how to use the available research, to refine your objectives and your problems. And that takes a lot of time. So I think the faculty time devotion is a little bit a challenging part. Other than that, I think it's also an enriching experience for the faculty, especially for me, when we interact with the students, because there is a lot of work that they want to do, a lot of things that they would like to explore, and they come up with very interesting ideas. And then I think it's also important that we ask them to ask questions, not only for doing a project, but even during the classes, because unless they ask questions, whatever topic you teach, if you just teach them what this is what happened, I think that's not how they will develop their thinking abilities, but how and why it was developed, and they come up with the answers, or what could have been done. So if that model, I think, has worked very well for my classes, and I think that helps the students to have that critical thinking abilities and develop those critical thinking abilities. That's what I want to add.
Yes,
Yeah,
true.
Dr.
And yes,
Nivedita, I want to, from this point, I want to add that during my research career, I got really good students, and at the end, after their post-graduation, when they leave, they really give me very good research ideas. So, and in some cases, publications also. So this is the point that I really learned from those students, which were trained from the undergrad level.
Yes. So, so that brings me again to another add-on question is, during this more than a year of online teaching and learning, how have you tried to cope up with these active learning methods? Say even practical sessions or projects, or how did you, because I had this question from the previous session from the audience asking, how do you do this in the online mode? So any ideas from anybody is welcome.
Yeah, I would like to add something here, if you don't mind.
Yes.
As far as we were concerned, we were worried in the beginning that how are we going to carry out projects? Anyway, the labs were also closed, and projects are usually they go out also and do projects, some in the lab, some outside. So this year we have done a lot of projects related to data analysis, which I just mentioned initially, because as you there are a lot of data on various things which is available online. So students, if they are taught that this is the data which is given to you, how will you analyze it? Or right, for example, right now they were not able to. So when you're doing research, also you're gathering data. Part of it is also gathering data. So here, if the data is already given to you, how will you utilize it? So most of the projects last year, especially during the pandemics in physics, was mostly on data analysis. So we had these students groups which we made, and we gave them a lot of data. And from that data, they were able to, how to segregate what to take, what not to take, what kind of, graphical methods, tabulation methods, and, error analysis and all these things. So that we were really able to do. And here I would like to add one more thing. Like some of the students may not want to do anything. As far as I'm concerned, I always make my students, see one movie, one Hollywood movie by Julia Roberts, Erwin Brokovich, where she's a typical clerk, and then she ends up, doing research for a newspaper agency on chromium contamination, and she's a typical clerk, and there she's given this job by her editor, otherwise he'll fire her, that there is chromium contamination, and these people who are affected, finally she gives them the due, the money, billions and billions of dollars from the company who has contaminated the water. So that movie has really inspired me in one way, and I always tell the students, if you see this movie, Erwin Brokovich, by Julia Roberts, she's one of my favorite actresses, and this movie, even a simple average person, if you really want to do something, you really learn what exactly is research, what do you come at the end of it. And every project's result and conclusion leads to a new project, you see, because every project, you cannot say a project is complete, it's finished, it's done. No, you always have some things remaining which a new person can take up. So somebody else's project of last year can be your project, future things. So as I said, this pandemic reason, most of the work which we did was basically on data analysis. And there's a lot of things to do in data analysis. Lots of data is available, and we need people to analyze this data. Data can be in health sciences, it could be in astronomy, astrophysics, economics, anything. So you cannot say that, look, I don't belong to astronomy, I don't belong to economics. Doesn't matter, the data is there. So even analyzing that data, a physics person can analyze it using statistical techniques, mathematical techniques, computer graphics, and so on. So this year we mostly, concentrated on data analysis part in the pandemic without the lab itself.
Okay. Dr. Shivkumar, with the PTTS, how did you manage it this year?
Yeah, see, this year first, we did we gave the students, their experiments of what they should be doing. Only thing we did was for each student, we gave a multimeter set and a basic toolkit having spanners and all, which we gave it to the residents. So each of the students, we sent it by courier. Then after that, there was we divided the students into a group of 5 people, and each of these 5 people have to do one experiment. And the design of this experiment, they all discuss among themselves in a Zoom, in the breakout rooms we created. In each breakout room, each group was there. And then they discuss, and then they came out with the solutions of how they should be doing that. Then the teachers were also helping them in case they get stuck or they are going in the wrong direction, prodding them to asking kind of a leading question and going them into some direction. And at the end of it, then they implemented it. And everything they did, and also since we also gave the 200 rupees restriction, and also some of the places lockdown was there, I mean, they could not go out and buy many things, but within their existing thing they did. We told them that it is not the final result, getting the correct one with a sophisticated equipment is not an interesting thing. You design yourself and with your own the things which are available around your house. Right, with that they did an experiment. In fact, some of them, they want to have some meter scale. They want to make a piston. They took a cardboard, cut everything. They made something like that. Then they used the water tank for some height, for putting some water and dipping it, making a this pressure meter and things like that. They all did with around this thing. And in fact, I never expected that this would be successful. That in the pandemic, in fact, sometime I am even planning to sort of light it up, because in a pandemic situation, that one can do some experiment within the household item, and the fact that it worked, right? So, therefore, we are also very careful in the choice of the experiment. I cannot give an experiment which requires a regular laser lamp, which is available in a lab system in our university. That we cannot give. Therefore, the choice of the experiment was sort of suited for the existing thing. So we gave experiment which they have to use only the laser lamp which is used in the PowerPoint and all, so these kind of smaller items which we had, and based on that we gave experiments. And yesterday it went off, and the people who came for one of the most eminent scientists the country is having, they all saw and they were completely astounded the way that kind of a thing, even in a pandemic, that such a thing can be done. And the student, they also told that I never realized some of the small household items which I had have such a this kind of a value in it. So this is the way we sort of do. They want to make a solenoid, they take a they go buy a wire and they actually wind it. They want to make a capacitor, they take something, they wind it, everything they do it by hand, and then they take the reading. The readings are not perfect. They won't get any answer. Some of them, they did not even complete. They could complete only about 50% of the experiment. But then the process of doing that, they have learned a lot. They made a lot of mistakes, and every mistake, because something you can theoretically say something, but when they actually did, they had to face a lot of problems. With each problem, they themselves, discussing with them, among themselves, they overcame this and then they solved it. That was actually something was an eye-opener. Even that this way was extremely successful, which was much beyond what I expected. So I think that there is a possibility which one can be done.
That is really impressive. Yes, ma'am.
I just remember what I mentioned was about the project area, but as far as the labs were concerned, experimental labs were concerned, we took a lot of help from the virtual labs. Virtual labs virtual experiments are available online. Many experiments are available. So we also made them do experimental labs using virtual labs, and many of the students also did a lot of simulation, because most of the population nowadays is very good in computers, so they are able to learn some new languages, C, C++, Python, and so on. So they can also do simulation, and they have done some projects on simulation. And most of the for practicals, we demonstrated the lab experiments, which we, video shot them and then explained it to them. And then we gave them the virtual lab part to do it on the computer themselves with view variations. So I just wanted to add that. Please go ahead.
Sure, thanks. So anybody else wants to add anything to that?
I completely agree, Professor Shiv Kumar. And go ahead, Dr. Hazarika, please.
Actually, during the pandemic situation, ma'am, my college is situated in the rural areas. That 60% of the student is the below poverty level. From that point of view, say virtual lab, virtual, actually our online teaching is acceptable only 10 to 15%. Main challenge is that those who have advanced, average and slow learners is there. We are only there's a virtual mode of teaching and practical everything. Everything is can avail only 10 to 15% of the student. Remaining students are unable to avail this system as because from that point of view, open book test system is going on in the Guwahati University. That moment, student is crying in front of me that we have no Android mobile. So I request all the faculty members from my college, and we have purchased 400 Android mobile with 3-month pack. We provide them. So in the practical point of view, though online mode of virtual lab is available, but network is a problem. You see only 3 hours talking time, my connection is cut 2 times. This is the problem. So we have to prepare like that data analysis. Sometimes we give some questionnaires that from that point of view and Viva on a virtual mode we can conducting during the pandemic. This time in Assam, 24 hours round the clock lockdown, but exam is going on. This is the problem, madam. So we are using some the practical lab is impossible for us right now. We are conducting some. We provide some data, they analyze, they send back to us, and depending upon Viva Voice on the Zoom platform or Google Meet, we are assessing in practical like this in this pandemic situation, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Hazarika, for bringing up that point. I think the situation is not very different from yours for many of the rural areas. And that is the main reason we really wanted representation from different parts and different disciplines to at least let people know the current situation and also how we can help them. So we by collaboration, like you said, collaboration with nearby bigger institutions and labs, and also get ideas from others, like people like you who have done something commendable within your reach. So others may get inspiration and ideas to implement the same in their colleges. So Dr. Rohini, you were saying something.
I was saying that, yeah, a few practicals, I guess, are possible even in this situation. And for example, I teach plant physiology basic course for first year students, and we have done few experiments where students have, tried to see the effect of light on plant growth. So they were able to do it from seed germination to plant growth and different light conditions and all. So they were able to actually do it on different plants, different environmental conditions, and then compare each other's results and, come up with the reasonings. So what is important is not the experiment, but how and what are the factors that are going to affect and how well they understand these concepts through practicals which they do. And I think this has been a boon for us because they are in different locations, they are doing it differently. So when they compare, they learn how different factors can affect the same kind of experiments. And so I think that's the learning which I can share based on the experiments. And for the project part, we have also been able to take a lot of data analysis, but as Dr. Hazarika mentioned, that in remote areas that might not be possible. So we have tried to provide help to the student who was doing the project for data analysis to have a remote access of the system which is available in the department. But again, I can agree that internet is an issue for remote students as well. And we have been able to help those students out for internet access and availability.
Definitely, ma'am. Yeah.
Dr. Vandana, you want to add something?
Yeah. So it was virtual lab and data analysis. That is the same thing. And what is different that I want to add is that our students, they prepared, we run a program actually, which is actually running now even, that is named tunneling. In this, our students will perform small experiments at their home, small experiment for the school level. And they will record it, and the language is Punjabi. So these recordings were handed over to the different schools so that they can pass it to the students and for helping their practicals. For our practical, it was virtual lab, and we were lucky that for 1 month the university was open in the last semester, and we could do some practical work at the university level. But this semester was really hopeless. Everything was virtual. This is the story.
Yes. So thank you all for sharing your views on that. So we are almost nearing the end of the panel discussion, and may I ask you to just sum up and give a concluding message to our audience, specifically who are teachers from suburban and rural colleges, your recommendations for implementing a research supportive undergraduate curriculum at an individual level and institutional level. Professor Shivkumar, do you want to go first? You're muted, sir. Sir, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Yeah. I mean, one suggestion is they should have for people who are in suburban and in, rural areas, is possibility to have a network of teachers with whom they have a like-minded teachers from other places. And right now, this kind of online platform has people have learned it. So that is one of the things which one can be done. In fact, in our program, we take students about 50% of the students. When we select, we make it a point to it should be from a rural background. So we generally don't take students from IITs and places like that. And when we select in the first setting, we are very careful about it. And also 50% are women students. So these two, we make a very conscious decision to do when we select that. So the question you were asking was about how we should help the suburban thing is, I would think that, the isolation must be broken. See, but I feel that every institution, there are at least 2 or 3 very interested and motivated teachers will be there. And that being an isolation should be broken. And possibly if they can have a network of with other teachers and discussing that is one of the things which, one can try to handle this problem. That's one suggestion I can give. And yeah.
Dr. Dabade?
Yeah, I mean, the places where compulsory projects are there, I think that should not be a problem. They anyway have to do projects, and there is a plan which is already chalked out by the institutions. But places where the compulsory projects are not there at undergraduate level, and there you want to motivate students to take up projects. So there, what you can do is that, we have these extra projects also in our college. We have this annual exhibition, which is usually there in the last week of December. That is a science festival. Every science department has a science festival. So we usually encourage the first and second year students, okay, what are you going to do in the science festival? Is there anybody who wants to take part? Or we ourselves tell them, look, I'm trying to do this project. Can somebody join me? Can somebody help me? So that way what happens is some of the enthusiastic students, at least which are in first year and second year of their BSc, they come up and they ask us, and then we start with them, and the others also join in. And then we also request them, since we are going to have a science exhibition in December, so why don't you start working towards that? So 2, 3, 4 students may join in, and then they have a small project of their own, which they're going to display in the science exhibition anyway in December or January, whatever. So that way, at least half the class may get involved in some kind of a project. It may be very small, doesn't matter. It may not be called as a research project, but at least if they start in first year and second year, in third year when they come and here we have a compulsory project, they already know something what they are going to do, or they do it deeper maybe. So as far as first year and second years are concerned, where there is no project, nothing, you can at least try to encourage them by taking them, asking them to take part in some science exhibition, or maybe in some colleges there are no science exhibitions, doesn't matter. A faculty can take initiative and say, okay, we are going to organize a science exhibition, physics department, whatever, biology department. We are going to call all the all the other members from the college to come and see our exhibition, and for that we will have, say, 20 or 25 exhibits. So when you say 20 or 25 exhibits, at least 2 to 3 people working on it. Already 75 to 60 students are already working on it. So they've started some kind of a project in first year, something. So that's how you can inculcate it in second year and then third year, and then the process starts.
Yes, Dr. Vandana.
So one thing I agree with Dr. Sivakumar, that is the isolation. Isolation should be broken at every level in the department. And for example, some rural areas, colleges, nearby university is there. So they should contact them for the research facilities and everything. One thing which I have learned over the year is that there is always a thing. There are most of the things, they are in less amount. So we have to adjust with it. And even in the developed country, everyone is not having every facility. So whatever is there, we will have to be with it. So one thing is isolation should be broken. And second, individual efforts, I must say that being teacher, you have to do it. Individual efforts matter a lot. And in the class, you are the king. So it is the you who will be, first of all, inciting the young minds. So individual role is important. Government role is there, but we cannot do anything at that level. So we can see there is funding which is allocated in India, and we can compare it with that of USA and China. So there is a huge gap, and it will be there. It will be there, but it is at the institution level also. At least institution should encourage the summer training for the students of the nearby colleges. So some monitoring assistance. And one thing which is very good for the SARAB is that in the individual projects, they are allocating some money for the research training. So even in my project, I am having this. So this type of opportunities should be availed. And this is possible only if we break the isolation. So that is my view.
Definitely. And Dr. Hazarika?
Yeah, Nivedita ma'am, my concluding message in 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first
Yes,
one
sir.
is that UG research need to embed it in the program in such a way that it complements the current system of learning. First point is that. Second point is that UG learning should be multidisciplinary in nature. To maintain the multidisciplinary nature of the program, UGC choice-based credit system need to intertwine with the UG research program so as to allow mobility of students within the discipline, campus, external organization. Third point is that UG research not being practiced in a structured and systematic way in universities and affiliated colleges. There must be structured modalities to erase the doing of UG research. Finally, the suburban and rural areas endowed with many fertile areas and issues of research relating to various social problems. Teachers have to take their proactive role in motivating students and training them in UG research. It should be considered as a mandatory assignment for guiding students while undertaking the research in UG level. Thank you, ma'am.
Very, very valid points, Dr. Hazarika. Thank you very much for that. And finally, Dr. Rohini, yes.
So I think most of the points have been covered already, Nivedita. So I think my final take will be just encourage your students to ask questions, be it, simple questions, which can have bigger implications. So just ignite curiosity in them. And I think that will be, the driving force behind the research. and research projects that we do. That's all.
Yes, absolutely true. Okay, so wow, that was a wonderful session with lots of inputs from various angles and perspectives. So with this, we come to the end of today's discussion, and let me just summarize within a few lines the take-home points. So first, we all agree that we should catch them young. That is, it's definitely important to expose the undergraduates to research. However, we should aim at igniting their scientific temperament and not daunt them with high-end research. So our objectives should be to expose them to fundamental research skills, such as communication, teamwork, critical thinking, problem solving, ethics, maturity to face failures, create a sense of engagement and responsibility, and give them small tasks of data collection, analysis, and interpretation, basic computer tools, or even as simple as learning to maintain a lab notebook, which are all essential lifelong skills that they will need, irrespective of the career that they would choose in future. And this also brought up a very important point, that such a very active interactive method of teaching would develop a very strong alumni network at the institution, which is definitely very important and has long-term returns. So all of us totally appreciated and have acknowledged the initiatives of the government that have been used for that cater to support undergraduate research and have benefited from some of them. And Dr. Hazarika mentioned a few, and also Dr. Vandana mentioned a few of them. And the most important message is that we need active networking among teachers and institutions to break isolation and support each other. And this is definitely required for colleges, especially in suburban and rural areas, who are always eager to develop collaboration with nearby larger labs, research labs. And most importantly, with the current pandemic situation, the teachers and educators need to come up with more innovative methods to incorporate an active learning and assessment in the existing curriculum and make them socially relevant. So I hope I have summed up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, just I wanted to just say that, if there are physics teachers who are listening, that if they want any help or anything, let them, you can just give my email, let them contact me, and we can really see whatever we can do and help you in improving your physics education. We are looking for motivated teachers.
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that offer. Yes. So you can. I think all of the panelists today are wonderful people and are experts in their field and have accomplished a lot. And I think are always willing to help anybody who reaches out to them. So today's world, it's not very difficult to reach out. Just short of an email. And somebody knows somebody. It's a very small world. So I think we can all reach out and support each other in this time. So this has been such an enriching discussion, and my sincere thanks goes out to each of the panelists for sharing your most valuable time, experiences, and views on this very important topic for the benefit of several motivated teachers and educators from all over the country. So today's symposium has reiterated that it is essential that students be inducted in the culture of research as early as possible, at least at the level of undergraduate studies. So, however, the many challenges of introducing research in the undergraduate curriculum still remains, especially in a country like India, but I think we will get there slowly, supporting each other. So with this, we also come to the end of today's symposium on fostering undergraduate research in institutions. And I, on behalf of the Delhi NCR chapter of INEAS, extend my heartfelt thanks to all the speakers for their participation and the audience for making this event successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nivedita. Thank you for bringing us together. I got to know so many people today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nivedita.
Thank you.
Thanks
for
inviting.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting.
Bye.
Thanks for inviting.
Bye-bye and stay safe.